Hello and welcome to Rant on Reels. I'm Michael Fooch.
And I'm Xavier Bonnet.
How's it going, Xavier?
It's going pretty good. I almost broke my knee today.
That's what you're starting with?
Yeah.
The Patriots are going to the Super Bowl and you're worried about a knee?
Well, my knee, it's important. I need it.
So you're telling me you'd rather have not banged your knee and the Patriots have lost?
Well, yeah.
Really?
It's my knee. I'm very selfish. We're spoiled as Patriots fans because we see Super Bowl wins all the time. So
I know this is a movie podcast, but I think this is a little sports needs to be brought in here. Do you know Brady's been playing in the league for 17 years?
Yeah.
And this is his ninth Super Bowl.
It's amazing.
That means 50% of his career he's gone to the Super Bowl.
Over 50%.
And he's been to 13 AFC Championship games, so 13 out of 17 times he's been to the Final Four. Like,
Jeez!
That's Michael Jordan type numbers in terms of winning.
It's better than Jordan.
Yeah. Well,
Tom Brady's the greatest
get ready
sports guy at any sport.
Get ready for the negativity and people turning off our podcast because we're talking about sports and not movies.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
All right, let's talk about movies. Anything going on in the world of movies? I know what you want to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about the
Spider-Man preview. How many times have you watched it?
I've only watched it one time.
Baloney.
It one time.
Ask me how many times I've watched it.
Obviously, you watched it 5 times because you love trailers, and that's the best thing about a movie. You don't even like watching the movies. Like, sometimes you leave during the movie and just watch the trailers.
That would be 0 for me. I have not watched the trailer
What?
once, and I will not watch the trailer
So you've been lying
before
this whole time.
July.
So what do you do when you just leave the movies?
What do you mean leave the movies?
When you leave the trailer? Oh, sorry, my bad. The trailer, sorry.
I just go to the washroom, get some food if I need food, just chat with people. When I was at the movies a couple weeks ago, I found someone like me who doesn't watch previews, so we just chatted.
Oh, and you talked about how you hated previews?
Yeah, gave away the whole story. It's going to be funny. When we talk about our movies today, I'm going to talk about one example of how the ending of the movie was spoiled for me by the preview.
Fair enough.
So what do you think of the Spider-Man preview without giving details away? Because we're still spoiler free at this point in time.
I like it. Interested.
Does it make you want to see it?
Well, you could just say Spider-Man, I'm going to see it, so no matter what.
So why did you watch the preview then if you were already going to watch the movie?
I just wanted to see how the main villain looked. I just want to see what his costume looked like.
All right. So here's my question for you about this preview because I'm not going to watch it, and I don't even know if I want an answer to this question, so feel free not to answer it if you think it's a spoiler.
Okay.
Does this movie give anything away about Endgame?
No. I think it's going to be before Endgame.
I've been saying that for a long time, that it's going to be a prequel to Endgame. Because it only makes sense.
I think a lot of the movies are going to be like prequels, like before Endgame.
I feel like the next 3 or 4 movies are going to be prequels.
Yeah, they're going to be set before Endgame, and then probably 20. I know it's going to be the first movie that's set after Endgame. That's going to be more interesting.
I'm going to say Black Panther.
Black Panther too.
I think that because Black Panther, we know that it ends before Infinity War. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that one. Like that one, we get the idea that they tell T'Challa that when you said you were going to open up Wakanda, we thought you may be like a Starbucks or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So we know that's clearly very soon after.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe. What are the movies set after Endgame? We have Far From Home. What's after Far From Home?
I don't know.
Like, what's the 2020? I haven't paid attention.
Have they
to
even released the 2020 releases? I don't think they have.
No. Interesting. I guess they don't want to release the releases because that gives away. It's probably a spoiler to what happens in Endgame.
Yeah, so they're probably gonna wait till Endgame and then let it go.
Yeah, and then let us know.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being more excited, where do you feel about it after watching the previous Spider-Man Far From Home?
You mean Homecoming?
No, it's Far From Home.
The new one?
Yeah.
The previous? Oh, the trailer.
Yeah, after watching the trailer, are you, from 1 to 10, 10 being more excited, where do you fit on that scale?
I don't know. I think it's more, there's a couple more things. I love Spider-Man, But there's a couple more things that I'm a little bit more excited for, like Endgame. So I'm more excited to see how that ends.
Obviously.
So I love that. Plus, Game of Thrones is ending. So those two things.
Yeah, there was a
something
preview to Game of Thrones as well.
Yeah, I didn't look at the preview for Game of Thrones yet. I haven't got a chance to check it out.
Are you going to?
It's only
Dumb
15
question. I
seconds,
apologize.
so I'll probably will do it.
It is way more than 15 seconds. They showed it before during the Patriots game. It was like a minute and 15 seconds.
Oh, that's the new. Oh, okay, interesting. There's a little 15-second clip of.
I didn't get a good.
Two characters
Obviously
talking.
muted. Oh, there's no talking in this one.
Oh.
It's literally the Starks and Jon Snow marching towards something. I don't know.
Oh, that might just be the because one of the trailers is just the whatever happened in season 7, like previous seasons.
No, this is
It
definitely.
looked new footage to you.
It's got to be new footage because I think they're in the crypt,
Okay.
and I feel like Jon knows that he's a Stark / Targaryen.
Whoa! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert for all the Game of Thrones fans and things that happened. But like honestly,
It's been over a year. I think that.
hey, some people are like, maybe I should get into it now because it's just ending.
But even mentioning that Jon Snow is with the Starks is a spoiler because he hasn't been with the Starks since episode 1.
Yeah, so just spoiler alert.
Okay,
This guy, he's trying to get us shut down.
I don't know.
By the way, there's going to be spoilers for the future movies that are coming up and any possible movie and TV show. Any form of media, there's probably going to be a spoiler for it.
That's true.
Even Red Dead Redemption 2.
Anything else going on in the movie world that you want to talk about?
So the best movie in the world, the best movie of 2018, is getting a sequel. The first 15
It is.
minutes
It's coming up.
Bumblebee.
Well, you're calling back to 2 weeks ago. I like it.
So, yes, Bumblebee's getting a sequel. It's in development. Are you surprised or not?
I'm not surprised. The Transformers movies make a ton of money. Why wouldn't they make another one? It's not going to be good unless they take your advice and just make it about the Transformers and take the humans out of it. But let's be honest, they're not going to do that. It's going to be a bad movie that deals with Transformers and no plot.
I have a quick question. Would it be cheaper to have the Transformers only to strictly like CGI?
I imagine it would be.
Because you don't have to pay the actors anything and you can just use the voices and just...
But do you think these maybe Haley's... I don't know, I guess Mark Wahlberg makes a lot of would ask for a lot of money. So maybe be a little cheaper. I don't know, but maybe they don't ask for a lot of money. I don't know what they're paying these actors to be in these movies.
Well, they know it makes a lot of money. So if I'm an actor and my agent, I'm like, get me a big chunk of that money because it makes.
It depends who you are. Maybe if you're Mark Wahlberg, but if you're House and Stage or something like that, you're making it's also a chance to make a name for yourself.
That's true.
Do you think those new 3 Star Wars actors and actresses like Daisy Ridley got a huge paycheck for Force Awakens?
Probably not. Well, maybe. Who knows?
I don't know. I think that.
Listen, you're not in Hollywood. You don't. Know
You're right.
anything,
Don't know. But if you're
just be quiet.
But if you're asking me my opinion, I would imagine they're not making that much money.
I'm just playing.
I think that it's like a springboard, right? Like you're paid for your name in Hollywood.
Yeah.
The bigger your name, the more you're paid.
The more money you bring in, like Tom Cruise is always making.
Well, there's a reason why Scarlett Johansson brought in $8 million for Avengers, and Hemsworth and Evans only brought in 4 each. Like Scarlett Johansson she's a child star, right? She's been around for a long time. She's got a lot more appeal than those two did. Now, moving forward, when they want to take on a role, they're obviously Hemsworth and Evans are going to be a lot more money than $4 million for a big action role.
Fair enough.
Did you hear the official word from DC?
What's the official word for
that
DC?
They are no longer going to focus on a shared universe and be more making solo movies for all their heroes, and at their convenience or when they think it's going to work, will tie it all together with duct tape.
That's I don't know with DC, man. I don't know what to say anymore at this point. The decisions that they make is just always very questioning. seems like they don't have a real sense of directions. They're trying too hard to play catch up with Marvel.
Take your time.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
Like, you don't have to play catch up, right? It's not. Marvel has a good thing going, but hey, maybe this could work. Who knows? We'll see.
But here's my question: isn't this what DC's been doing since the 70s?
Yeah.
They made Spider-Man. Actually, even since the 60s, right? The Adam West Batman. He did his own thing, and then they made the Superman movies, and they made Batman movies, and then they made more Superman movies and Superman TV shows like Lois and Clark with Dean Cain, and then all their animated series. They've always made their own universe movies.
Well, the animated series were all linked in together, like Batman.
That's true, they
Superman,
were, but not linked into like the greater universe that DC had. And then they, their TV shows continued in the 2000s with Smallville. And then they made like a Flash or an Arrow and a Flash and a Supergirl and now a Batgirl that's separate from the movie universes that they're trying to create.
And they have the Titans that's separate from that universe.
Yep. And then of course you have like the Christopher Nolan Batman movies that are at the same time as Man of Steel. Not Man of Steel, sorry. Superman Returns, which is supposed to be back to the 80s movie, which is like Superman 3 or 2.5, I guess. Like, I just feel like this is what they've always done. And when you go to the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I thought that was more like, it's Warner Brothers, so.
I don't know what's what. Who knows with DC? They pick and choose. It's like, this movie works, let's put it with something else. And they're like, the fans will just go and they don't care about plot.
So that whatever. Aquaman's not tied to the shared universe?
Maybe not. So maybe a lot of my criticisms of the movie are not founded anymore because it's not shared. Valid. Maybe that's why he doesn't go get help from Superman in that, because they're not there. Universe. But even though Mira said that they defeated
Steppenwolf.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's like, okay, we're gonna keep that element, but they're not actually there. So you know who we are because you saw us before, but it didn't actually happen. It just pretended to happen in our figment of our imaginations.
Yeah. Well, now it makes sense that they have the 3 Joker movies that are in development and the Harley Quinn movies, so that's not going to be linked, even though they had a Batman in there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Suicide Squad. Is that linked in, or even though Batman's in it?
Yeah, I don't. That just makes more questions.
It's DC in a nutshell.
Yeah. By the way, we're not. Marvel's not perfect in terms of time. They really messed up the time frame.
Really?
But that's the only issue. Well,
one little time issue with Spider-Man: Homecoming, and we're ready to split it up. It literally, if they had just written in the year like 6 years later instead of 8 years later, nobody would have cared.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's what we're talking about with this time problem with Marvel. It's like, if they just made it 6 years later, nobody would have cared.
Yeah, but the new time frame was kind of out of whack now. The way they set it up, like Iron Man was at this time, and then this is at this year, and now they made it worse.
But all they had to do was just been like, oh, sorry, that was a typo. It meant to be 6 years later, and everything would have been a little bit better.
Those Hollywood types, they don't want to admit they made mistakes. Yeah. They're just like, the continuity is all out of whack. You know what? It's not a shared universe anymore.
And just because we make fun of DC, I will let you know that Superman is probably my favorite fictional character. So I am.
No, it's not. I am a Marvel fan.
I grew up.
Had anything nice to say?
I grew up. All right. I grew up as a DC boy, not a Marvel guy. Just so you know, I respect the Marvel universe way more than I respect the DC universe, but that's because they've never made a good Superman movie, in my opinion. That being said, Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman, haul out to Dean Cain, who is my favorite Superman, was fantastic.
I never watched that show.
I love that show. That is exactly how I think Superman should be.
Yeah. Superman sucks. So.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you think that. Anyways, let's get started with this week's movie. So this week we are going to be talking about.
What do we watch?
We're going to be talking about The Upside.
Woo!
We're going to be talking about Glass, and we're going to the vault to talk about the Goonies because that was most voted by you, our many, many, many listeners.
50,000 votes for the Goonies.
No.
We're not saying the real numbers here.
It was 75,000.
75. Okay, 75,000 for the Goonies.
You clearly missed out on the numbers. You looked at the numbers probably from like Tuesday and were like, oh.
Well, it's one. I was really hoping Inception won, but it was very, very close for
Inception will take us like a 2 hour show for just talk about Inception.
Yeah, but it's an amazing movie.
It is an amazing movie. That is for sure. Where do you want to start? You want to actually before we get started, like once again, just a warning: there will be a lot of spoilers about the Upside Glass and the Goonies. So if you are not into, or if you want to watch those movies before you hear about it, make sure you turn us off and come back to us after you watch it. Also, at this point, we are going to give a little plug on ourselves. If you like us, please
Oh my goodness.
subscribe to us on iTunes and on YouTube and Spotify.
What's your handle?
Well, I'm not on any of those things. I'm on Instagram. My handle is Mike at Michael Fooch.
Okay, and I'm at Mr. Xavier Barnett. And yeah, follow me, like my photos, and if you don't like my photos, be sure to write a very mean and nasty comment.
Follow me and expect not to get a lot of photos posted.
Yeah,
Still learning how to do that.
Pictures of cats. He just sends random pictures
Whoa,
of cats.
Whoa, I'm a dog
And
person.
dogs. Okay, cats and dogs. Well,
Okay, let's get that straight. All right, let's talk about the upside, though. So I just want to start with some opening thoughts on that movie. I really felt it was a very good, feel-good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not an original movie. It is a remake of a French movie called The Intouchables. It's pretty much the exact same storyline, but in French.
okay.
Now, this movie, pure feel-good movie for me. It was never designed to be thought-provoking. It's just two characters looking for different things. We have Dell, played by Kevin Hart, who's looking for redemption. And we have Philip, played by Bryan Cranston, who's kind of depressed and looking for a second look on life.
Yeah, he clearly right away, well, I'll get into it, but we'll get into it when we get into the movie, when we dive right in.
So I thought it was a really good feel-good movie. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it a lot. I'm not gonna lie, I think this is my favorite Kevin Hart role ever.
You're not a big Kevin Hart fan?
Not in movies, not so much. I'm not a huge Kevin Hart guy. I feel he plays the same character, and I do not like that character. The big goofy guy that always acts tough, but then is not really tough, and he gets beat up by like a girl or something like that because he's so small, or like some nerdy guy or something like that. It's just, I don't know.
You've never been a big Kevin Hart movie guy.
No.
See, I like Kevin Hart. I think you're right in the sense that he does play that stereotypical character a little too much. I think he's got a lot of range. I think you see it in this movie.
Yeah, clearly.
I think even when he has to play the straight guy to The Rock in Central Intelligence, I think you can see that he's more than a one-dimensional actor.
Yeah.
He just doesn't take enough roles to.
They just don't write him properly. Like
No, they don't write him. He doesn't take roles to show that he's more than one-dimensional. He takes the same role all the time. And, I worry for him sometimes that he'll fall into this Will Ferrell kind of character where we know Will Ferrell can act. We've seen him in Stranger Than Fiction where it's more of a drama and we get to see his actual acting chops. But now all he seems to do is take on the same character that's just a baboon, a dumb buffoon.
Mm-hmm. Clearly, right? And that's why his movies haven't been doing this so well because it's
the same
thing for 20 years now. Like, it's... Not 20 years. I would say 10 years. He's been playing.
I would say I'd say 20. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
He's just been the lead character for like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He's always been like a secondary character. Like Old School is the same kind of character.
Yeah, that's a very
Elf,
true.
Anchorman. You can go on.
Plays that Ricky Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. So
other guys.
But
actually, other guys, he's a little different than others.
No, the other guys. I love the other guys. I'm a big fan of the other guys.
That's why I said he's a little different.
I like to go. Let's go to the vault one day on the other guys. If you've never seen the other guys, I'm thinking of my gym buddy Dan, who's never seen it. He should be watching that movie. That movie's hilarious. It is great.
I think that's the last one.
I've been trying to get my buddy Dan to watch that movie for like 2 years now. Yeah. He's like, but he's like you. He doesn't like Will Ferrell. No, you like Will Ferrell. I don't know why, but you like him.
I like him, but I'm getting sick of him.
Yeah. All right, but let's talk about the upside. So the movie begins with introducing us to our two characters. So we have Dell, who's this character who's on parole, and he needs to be looking for a job or he's going back to prison. Mm-hmm. he's just going through the motions. He's kind of looks like he's given up on life.
He just kind of seems like the kind of guy that, you wouldn't want to take home. If you're a girl, you do not want to take him home. He's been in prison. Doesn't look like he has much direction. Even the way he gets this job, he wasn't really looking for it.
He backdoors into it.
Yeah.
He's looking for a janitor job.
Yeah.
He's not looking for this helper job. He's looking for to be the janitor, but he's not there for the job. He's just there for the signature so he can go back to moping and be like, yep, nope, no one can hire me because I've got a criminal past.
Yeah, and what we like to call this, the kids like to call this a waistband. So that's what he wants to be.
Yeah, just he's happy doing nothing. Living on probably someone's couch from person to person.
Yeah.
Not amounting to anything.
We find out he got evicted from his home because he has no job.
He's got a
doesn't
kid.
Play child support.
He's a deadbeat.
Yeah, pure waste man.
Yeah.
That's what we call him.
So then we also meet Philip, and Philip is a quadriplegic. He can only move his neck, and he has fired his last caretaker, and they're looking for a new one. And he is unimpressed by anyone who is qualified. And
it's overly qualified.
Yeah, and he's loaded. Richer than Jay-Z, but not as rich as
Warren Buffett?
Warren Buffett. Okay, that's who it was.
Trying to remember.
And for me, why do you think he was unimpressed? Like, I have some ideas as I watched the movie, but what were your thoughts initially on why you thought he was unimpressed by all of these people?
I feel like spoiler alert, he lost his wife. And when he lost his wife, I feel like he lost his motivation for living.
Yeah, that's why he's looking for that second lease on life.
Yeah, right? He doesn't really care. Like, we hear it, like, he was struggling to breathe, and he's like, if I don't breathe...
Yeah, DNR, right? Do not resuscitate. No extra means necessary.
Yeah, just let me die. Because he doesn't want to be on the earth anymore, right? It's that, too. Plus, like, my wife really loved me, and I feel like in the secondary half of the movie, I feel like it might be the reason why he really was attached to his wife is because, like, no one else will care for me the way that my wife did because I'm paraplegic.
That's an interesting thought. I didn't think of that one, but I really like it. I thought of two things. I thought, firstly, that a lot of the people, and I would like to rewatch this scene to confirm it, but a lot of the people are more talking to Yvonne, so we don't know her role at this point. We find out that it's like a business partner to Philip, but she's the one who's kind of looking. She's asking the questions, and they're more talking to her, as if Philip's not even there. And this is a theme that we see throughout the movie. And when Del does walk in, he's like, Yvonne, you're not running the show. Philip, the guy that's sitting down, you're running the show, and he goes right to him. So it's right away. I feel like that's one thing.
That's good. That might be one of the reasons why he hired him. One of the connections. Right?
Yeah, and I think the other thing about a lot of these candidates, and I feel like a lot of people make this mistake in interviews, is they're given the same answer, but just a little bit differently. They're all the rah, we'll do this, we'll do that.
Yeah, we're a family, we're happy.
Yeah, but that's not. If everyone gives the same answer, what distinguishes you from anyone else? Like, are you really being real, or are you just being the person you need to be to get the job? Yeah. And I think that Philip is a person who's, he's been in business, he's been in finance, he has to relate to people to be in that, and he can see right through these people. That they're just phonies.
He wrote a book about it.
Yeah, right?
So he clearly sees the difference.
And you know what? The one clear thing I think we see throughout this movie is he sees some potential in Del that Del doesn't see himself. He's the only person that sees potential in Del. And he continues to help him throughout this movie.
Push him.
Forgive him for things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think those to me are the two main reasons. The first is they don't show him the respect that I think he thinks he deserves. And the second, they're just answers. They're so stereotypical answers that everyone's going to give him, and they don't stand out. And I think that's what Philip's really looking for in a candidate, someone who stands out.
Yeah.
So he goes through all these candidates, and Del's been waiting for like an hour. He's got to go pick up his son, so he barges in on someone else's interview. and he thinks this is for a janitor job. But when he walks in, like I said before, he's like, Yvonne, you're not someone I need to talk to. He knows Philip's the guy, and he goes right to Philip. And, to me, he shows him he's respectful to him, at least somewhat respectful.
I don't know if he was totally respectful.
Okay, maybe not totally respectful. Maybe not totally respectful. But so he basically
like,
says my PO needs signatures, and Yvonne's like, "What's a PO?" And Philip's like, "Parole officer." And now he's interested. So he's been sitting in this chair the entire time. He kind of rolls himself over and is like, "Okay, you have the job." He's like, "I don't want the job.
I just want the signature."
So why do you think he offered him the job?
For me, at that part initially, when I first saw it, I thought it was like, he's very unqualified, so like he's gonna let me die because he won't know how to handle it.
That was my initial reaction as well. Mm-hmm. But I had a couple other things. Again, this goes to this idea of respect. He shows him this respect that he's talking to him. But also, it goes to my second aspect. He's not going to be this yes person that everyone else is going to be. He's not going to sit there and sugarcoat everything that's going on. He's going to be real.
Yeah.
And I do think that, he makes him laugh a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that's something that he probably hasn't done a lot since his wife's died.
Yeah.
So I think there was like this immediate connection. And I think, I don't know, I think he sees something in him. Potential.
Yeah, going forward in the movie, you can see that he definitely sees potential in him. Because the way they talk. Plus, even then, he was reading his book without even being told to read the book. He read the book on his own.
He's inspired. Del gets inspired by Philip, there's no doubt. So he says, I'll think about it. And then he goes home that night. His ex, I don't know if it's ex-wife or it's his ex-girlfriend, his baby daddy, right? Baby mama, sorry. So it basically kicks him out and says, you can't see your son, you're a deadbeat, you don't pay your bills, you're useless. Mm-hmm. And
he gave us a terrible spot in like some ghetto.
Yeah. Like, I found you this house. Have you seen the house there? It's probably full of asbestos and it leaks. It's probably, we're going to die here.
Yeah, it's not, plus it's not a good neighborhood for his son.
No, not at all. That we see in the area, there's a lot of gangsters and drug dealers and all of these things. And his son is smart. We get that right off the bat.
Yeah, right off the bat, his son's smart and like his wife, his baby mama's giving him books to like learning languages. I think he's learning Chinese.
Yes, he was.
And I was like, okay.
But Del, not to be outdone, gives him a book himself, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn.
Where do you get that book?
He stole it from Philip's house at this
before
the interview.
Before the interview, yeah. I was gonna say during the interview process. I'd say
yes. So he decides to accept this job because he is sick of being this deadbeat. Because he does love I think he does love his son and does love his ex. I think we see that throughout the movie as well.
Yeah, his issue is he just didn't have a legitimate means of getting...
Yeah. This is a job offer, a legitimate job offer. So I think he does want stability. I think he does want to be a better father. I really do. So he basically goes in and says, I need a Metro card because I need to get here. And Yvonne's like, this is a live-in position. And she shows him like the bedroom that has its own ensuite. Yeah. And he's like, he kind of falls asleep on the mattress, probably the nicest mattress he's lived on in his life.
Hasn't slept in a while, right?
And Yvonne says, listen, you have 3 strikes. And then you're out. That was how I accepted you. You have 3 strikes. Okay. So, the job. So, we kind of get this idea of what this job entails, right? It's moving his muscles. It's changing his catheter, which he doesn't want to do. Strike 1.
Feeding him.
Just taking him around.
Yeah, taking him around places, running him on errands. Stuff like that.
And all of this job, throughout this job, they begin to bond. And there's many examples of this bonding, right? Del gets Philip out of his comfort zone. The first time I think they bond is through marijuana.
Yeah.
So Philip tells Del kind of his life story, that how he became a quadriplegic. He went on a gliding adventure in a storm. He crashed, broke his neck. Wife died of cancer. And Del's like, I'm going to make you feel better. So he goes to a dealer in a park, and he gives the weed to Philip. And Philip's like, this isn't gonna work. I take this stuff all the time. There's no weed that affects me.
Yeah.
He's like, wait for it. So they go around for a bit, and he feels it.
He's like, oh.
So they go into a hot dog stop, and they're gonna buy some hot dogs. But the hot dog owner or the cashier that's working basically asks Del what Philip wants, and Del's like, no, ask him. He's in a wheelchair. He's not dead.
Yeah.
And I think this is another thing that really took Philip and Del bonding to each other, because it's like, you don't think of me as, you think of me as a person.
Yeah, not as like, because most people, that's one of the issues. A lot of people that have that are in wheelchairs and everything, like, everyone treats them a lot differently.
Yeah. They don't get the respect they deserve.
Yeah. So Del's giving him the respect versus while they're bonding, so you can see the relationship develop.
Absolutely. And we see this even like in the transportation, right? The standard issue vehicle that Philip travels in is a van.
Yeah.
And Del's like, no, we're not doing that. What are you? Yeah, get into a nice car. You own all of these nice cars. It doesn't have to be practical. If you live in a van, you're gonna act like you're in a van. You have to try to live a normal life. And Del again gets him out of this comfort zone. We get this scene where they go to the opera, and Philip's really big into opera music, and Del's like, nope, you need some soul music. You need some Aretha.
Yeah.
And so they go to this opera, and initially you see Del just like making jokes, cracking jokes, being like, and making Philip laugh too, like
disrespectful.
But by the end of the show, it's Del who's the first person to give the standing ovation and gets right into this opera. Again, this bonding scene between the two of them, right?
They're showing each other parts of each other's world, and they like it.
Exactly. And then Del finds out Philip's been corresponding with a girl for years that he's never met, and he kind of pushes him to get out of this comfort zone and talk to her, and they actually set a date up with this girl named Lily. Mm-hmm. Even though he does think there's something going on between Philip and Yvonne, he's just kind of looking out. You gotta get back out there. Your wife's dead. You have all this money. You're good looking. Go find someone. Maybe someone who's got a lot of work done to their face, because you can't move your body, they can't move their face. You gotta make a great couple. and Philip again, a nice little chuckle. Even when Philip's a very private person, he doesn't like to be around people. Yeah. This is why he fires people. And when his birthday happens, Yvonne throws this party for him, and Philip's really upset about it. And Del has you have all this money in your beautiful apartment, and you have all of these friends that care about you and bring you gifts, and you're upset, and he throws something, and this anger that Philip has that he can't get rid of, Del helps him by just destroying everything in this room that Philip doesn't like.
I'm not gonna lie, I really thought that scene was pretty funny.
That was a great scene, though.
He's like, what do you want? This vase? You want me to break this vase? Just smashes it.
This picture? No, that one. This one? No, not this one. That one? Okay, that one. Okay. And he breaks it. And it's just, but again, I think it's a great scene to show their relationship and their development of this character. And so much of the middle third of this movie, or even I even go enough to say the middle 75% of this movie is just this bonding between the two of them. And every scene is so well done.
Yeah, I really enjoy the chemistry between Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart.
Oh my God, it's fantastic.
Very good. That's the kind of, like, for me, when I first saw them, like, wow, I didn't expect them to have as much chemistry as they did.
And even, like, this idea that when they had this free day, Bryan Cranston, Del brings Philip to meet his son. They spend the day with his son. And they find out about the Huckleberry Finn book, and forgives him right away. Listen, whatever. Put it past. People make mistakes. Past is past. Let's move forward. And one thing that Del can't understand is Philip's taste in artwork, which I have to agree with Del 100%. Like, I love art. I am all about art.
I'm not an abstract art kind of
guy.
I'm
sorry. If I can draw it, this is Del's argument. If I can draw it, it ain't art, because I can barely draw a square. So if you're drawing just two squares on top of each other, I can do it. And that's not art.
Yeah, that's me. I'm more realism.
I
when
like
it
the
comes to
old
art.
masters.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
old.
Go back to Da Vinci and Michelangelo and Donatello,
Yeah.
Paul Rubens, Peter Paul Rubens. Those are the guys I like.
But I guess for me, personally, just a little sidetrack. Like, I can see why people like abstract art because it's based on a feeling that it gives them. That's how I feel about house music.
Fair
Because it's more based on what it makes you feel. So
anyway,
their own.
Dell sees all this art. And he's like, I can do this. So he basically draws his own artwork and displays it in the middle of the apartment. And during the part, it is funny. It is probably the nicest artwork in the apartment though, because it's abstract but not complete abstract.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
and it was based on the poem that they're talking before, right?
Yeah.
A Doberman represents bravery, and it had what was it, an arrowhead?
Yes.
Yeah, it was eating an arrowhead
Yes.
or something like that.
So, anyways, Philip's like, okay, display it. And during the party, one of the people that are living in the building that Philip doesn't really like, he kind of pretends it's a new and upcoming artist that's going to go huge, and he sells Dell's painting for $50,000 and gives it to Dell as a gift.
Yeah, that was...
Because one of the things throughout the movie that we kind of deal with is Dell is looking to start a company. Like, he wants to do something, and he has all of these ideas. And when Philip gives him this money, he's like, this is for your company. Take this, start your company when you get a good idea.
Yeah, but initially Dell's like, oh, I could be an artist now?
I know. No, this is a one-time thing. You cannot be an artist. So everything's going good, but in any movie where everything's going good,
there's always a climax.
You need I wouldn't even call this the climax. This is the conflict.
Yeah, okay.
There's a change.
Yeah.
And Philip goes on a date with Lily. So this is the moment, right? He's not opened up to anybody. So he's been spending I think 2 or 3 years opening up to Lily. They've never met. They decide to meet for dinner. And when they get there, Dell's there to kind of feed Philip, but Lily's already known about this, and she's like, you know what? I can handle this.
Yeah.
Go, Dell. And Dell leaves. And things start off very well for the two of them.
Yeah, they're talking. I didn't know. For me, I thought she had like a sinister motive behind her. I thought she was maybe after this money. I didn't think she wasn't, because the way she stopped, we'd see her stop and stare and look really concerned. And I'm like, is she really into it, or maybe she Googled him and just wanted the money?
I thought that at first too, but as the dinner's going on, you really start to see like she's getting freaked out because she has to feed him everything, and she
can't even wipe his own. Like, there's a stain, and she's staring at his skin, and he can't even wipe it.
She gets freaked out. Is this going to be her life? Is she just going to be feeding him for the rest of her life, and she just can't accept it? So he takes it hard, and he's like, I need to leave. And she's just like, no, I think we should have had Dell stay for a bit. It was too much, too fast. And Dell's like, no. I'm sorry, Philip's like, no. We need to leave.
Yeah,
we need to leave. And at that moment, he pushes everyone away. He fires Dell. He's pushing Yvonne to leave. It just becomes everything
it gets very bitter.
It's a spiral. It's a downward spiral. Like, it's the darkest of the dark for him. So meanwhile,
it's really butthurt.
And I get it. This is the first time he's put himself out there,
and then he just gets totally
destroyed. It's like you have this person who's kind of been depressed, is just about to get out of it, and then has their legs knocked out, and they fall flat on their face.
If I was talking to Phil, I'd just be like, "Hey, man, don't worry about rejection. I get rejected every Friday night."
But I gotta blame.
No problem with that.
Yeah, but I gotta blame Philip on this a little bit. Why do you think I'm gonna blame Philip for this?
Interesting. I don't know why. Why would you?
Why a dinner? Especially a dinner with like 6 courses. This is the perfect thing for. Let's go for like a coffee or a drink. Give me a straw. I'll sit there. We can chat. Why does it have to be so formal? Like, I think it helps.
Because he's super rich.
I know that's a super rich thing to do. Go to a nice restaurant, have like 7 courses.
Flex. Listen, we all want to flex on those girls, right? I was gonna say the other word, but this is child friendly.
So after Dell gets fired, he seeks redemption. So he uses or he gets his redemption. I shouldn't say he seeks it. He's been seeking it throughout the movie. He uses that $50,000 to buy a house for his family, an actual house in a nice area, and he starts the business he's been looking for. And the business, which is what has become his passion, is to build wheelchairs for people who are paraplegic and quadriplegic. I thought that was a very, very good touch. I thought it was brilliant writing. So things are good until at his place, at his workplace, Dr. Maggie, Philip's physiotherapist, comes and basically says Philip's in a very bad position. Yvonne's left. He's in a downward spiral. He might do something he's going to regret. You need to come talk to him. And so Del, being the class guy he's been, decides to help. And he has this plan that he puts into action. So he takes Philip out in his car. They drive to the country. They hire someone to take them gliding. And for the first time since his accident, Philip gets to go gliding.
Hang gliding.
And
I would never do. Would you do that?
No, I'm terrified of heights.
I couldn't do that either.
No, thank you. Especially if I know if there could be accidents. Like,
yeah,
no,
like that accident that just happened,
no,
I would
you.
never go hang gliding again.
And Del has to go too, even though he doesn't want to go. And just to this is the climax of the movie. And guess where I've seen this? Where I've seen this scene now?
In the trailer.
It's in the trailer. With the bloody climax of the movie in the trailer.
I never saw the trailer for this.
I saw it after. I like to watch it after, and
Oh.
when we talk about these movies,
Mm-hmm.
I want to see what the trailers were like. Helps me also bring back some ideas because all the best parts are in the trailer anyway.
Yeah.
So
That's what you think? Not my
Philip is
trailers.
very grateful for this, like extremely grateful. And they're having a drink, and Del's like, "That ain't the best part." And Del walks away, and instead of coming back, Yvonne shows up, and they get together. I think that's the idea. Which, again, I think is a very nice touch. Del goes home, and when he buys his home for his wife and kid, he says, "I'm not ready to move in yet." And at that moment, at the end of the movie, after he's kind of gotten Philip and Yvonne together, we see him walking into the house for what we presume is the first time. Finally getting his redemption fully. And then we get a scroll that those two remain friends.
The scroll was so... I wanted a little bit more.
It needed to be more. I thought when it was
For
based...
the scroll. That's just for me.
When I thought it was based on a true story, because that's what I heard, I thought, oh, maybe that's all there is. But it's not really based on a true story. It's based off it's a remake of another movie that's based on a true story. Oh. So that took place in a different country. So you've created this entirely new movie. You could have done whatever you wanted with them. Nobody would have cared. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you. I would have definitely needed more scroll.
But I'm glad they remained friends.
So I have a couple questions for you. So one thing we didn't talk about when we were going through this movie is this movie had the ending at the beginning. So we see them at the beginning of the movie driving in this Ferrari and the police pulling them over. Mm-hmm. And then we go to the 6 months early and we come back to that scene in the end. What were your thoughts of putting the ending at the beginning?
Honestly, in my honest opinion, it wasn't really needed.
See,
if you asked me,
I liked it.
Really?
I think it works. And the reason I think it works, I'll ask you this question. When we go 6 months later, did you think that Del was going to be fired?
Oh, no.
Why?
Because he was, they were together 6 months earlier.
6 months later.
Like 6 months later.
So,
but the thing is...
To me, it's great because it throws you off the story. It doesn't make you... It doesn't let you follow the pattern perfectly. Like, in my head, all I'm trying to figure out is, why does he grow a beard? Because I see him at the beginning of this beard.
Yeah.
I don't even think he's going to be fired. It doesn't even cross my mind. I'm watching this movie with a completely different perspective because of that beginning. I think it throws you off the scent of where this movie's going.
For me, I think I'd argue the same because like we know that he got fired, but we know like 6 months, like when he gets fired, they're gonna get back together because we saw that at the end, right? So there's not.
But they never actually get back together.
Well, not back together, but we know that they're gonna be together and everything. Like they have the conflict, but we know like that conflict's not really gonna stay a conflict. Obviously, it's because of a
Well,
movie.
obviously, it's a feel-good movie. We know how it's going to end. It's going to be a happy ending. This isn't a drama that's going to be a negative movie. But at least it gives you. It doesn't make it perfectly. It doesn't make it perfect to follow. Mm-hmm. There at least gives you something to be like, oh, I didn't see that coming, because I didn't see it coming.
Yeah. I didn't see the fire coming, but I wasn't. It wasn't totally necessary for me. I still could have followed. Like, even if that wasn't there, we could still see that he was gonna get fired. It'd still be maybe that would happen, maybe not. But
okay, I did think it worked, but the second question I have for you is about Rotten Tomatoes. So Rotten Tomatoes, the writers, the critics have given this movie 40%. The fans have given this movie 88%. Where's this disconnect between these critics and these fans?
I don't know. Isn't it a runner for Oscars too as well?
Oh, no, it comes out in 2019. So, actually, technically, funny story about this movie. This movie came out 2 years ago in 2017 at the Toronto International Film Festival. But it was owned by the Weinstein Company. And you know what happened a month after?
Yeah.
The Me Too movement after Harvey Weinstein was outed for being the creep that he is.
Yeah. Okay.
So this movie went into development hell, and it was eventually purchased and released 2 years later. So this movie actually came out 2 years ago. Okay. And it became a January release. And a lot of the critics are panning it as a January release movie because
maybe that's why we have the bias that because it's in January, it's going to be bad.
I don't know. I think the disconnect is that movies like this are not movies like this are the reason I don't listen to critics. Because I think critics want something to be different and dark and like thought-provoking. But movies to
not
me,
everything has to be thought-provoking.
Exactly. You can make good, not thought-provoking movies. Every movie has a different purpose. To me, the Upside's purpose is two things. Number one, let's talk about redemption and make me feel good. Mm-hmm. And I think it does a good job of both of those. It makes me feel that a character can get redemption for sins, and it makes me feel good about society and life and people that have disabilities.
Yeah, this was a good January release for me. I didn't expect this because, like I said, January release, dumpster. No one cares about it. But sometimes it's because it was in development hell and they don't want to compete with anybody and stuff like this happens. So you get gems.
The other criticism that a lot of people are saying about this movie is that it's a remake of a very good movie called The Untouchables. Intouchables. Is that a possibility?
Maybe. I mean, the artist won for the Oscars, and I don't know if that's a good movie or not.
But that's not a foreign film.
No, the artist, right? It's in French. Isn't it in French?
No, it's silent movie.
Wow.
We've already talked about this on this podcast.
I know.
It's a silent movie.
I always forget about the artist because I think it's
a foreign film has never won the best picture foreign film has never won best picture in the Academy Awards.
Oscars so white. Hashtag.
It's a Hollywood. So yeah. Anyways,
bias. There's a bias.
My question is, does it count as a remake? Like, it's a foreign film. Like, is The Ring a remake?
That's true.
I don't think when I look at The Ring, it's just an English version of a Japanese movie. This movie is an English version of a French movie. No, Ringu. There's a
manga for it.
Oh, fine, but I'm talking about of a movie, right? There's Ringu.
Do you know what manga is?
Yeah, it's comic books in Japanese.
No. Wow, yo, you just lost half of our fan base. We're just gonna get. You really want us to get shut down?
What is it?
Well, technically it is.
Oh, there it is.
You can't say that because that really pisses them off.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that. We worked at a library. We shelved manga books all the time.
Oh yeah, I forgot you know it. I forgot that.
They just look like comics. I don't know. I don't even. How would you describe them?
Japanese comics? I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
To somebody that didn't know. But then if you're really into it, they get freaked out.
So I don't know but to go back to my point, I don't know if it counts as even a remake. To me, it's just an English version of a different movie. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Like the Godzilla.
Yeah,
is that considered a remake?
Well, it could be.
1998.
No. But I would consider the one with Bryan Cranston in a remake.
Well, yeah, obviously that one. I'm talking about the one in 1998.
No, I don't think.
Yes.
I don't think like making a foreign film into an English movie is a remake. I think it's an English version of the movie. Just like I think if you made a French version of The Godfather, it wouldn't be a remake of The Godfather. It would be the French version of The Godfather.
Do you think The Lion King is a remake of that Japanese Simba movie?
I don't even know. I think the Lion King is a remake of Hamlet.
Well, that's Hamlet.
All movies are remakes. All right, can you relate to Philip?
Not so much Philip, I guess. I'm not paraplegic and I'm not super
Quadriplegic.
Quadriplegic. Sorry.
You're gonna lose our audience.
Sorry. Whoops. I'm not super rich. I'm not married, and I don't have a dead wife, so I'm not really relatable. And I haven't lived my life to the point where I don't see a point in living on. I've never gotten to that point. I could relate more to Dell, I guess, if I had to relate to somebody. Well, not minus the prison and illegal activities, but like just the form of just trying to find your way in life, right? That's where I probably would relate more to.
I don't know if I'm with you. I don't think I can relate with Philip, but I can definitely empathize with him.
Yeah,
I think they did a great
enough.
job.
Yeah, 100%
and
I can empathize.
You know, one thing I really liked about this movie is the acting. We've really commented on Kevin Hart, who was more reserved in his role instead of his normal outgoing self.
He was great. If Kevin Hart acts like this, he'll become my favorite actor.
I don't think that's going to be true.
That's not going to be true.
But I think Cranston was fantastic. He looked real. Like I fell for him. I felt the
Cranston
depression
is just so underrated as an actor. He can do it all.
Oh.
Like that guy is just insanely good.
You know where I met, or not met, but you know where I started learning about Bryan Cranston, or the first thing I watched with Cranston.
Was it Malcolm in the Middle?
Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah,
he literally goes from this pure comedy to Breaking Bad.
I was like,
that's like the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
When I heard of Breaking Bad, I'm like, wait, that's the dad of Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
How is he gonna play this role? Like,
Walter White. Yeah.
Like, how does he go from that?
Yeah, but that's like you said, very underrated. And they
Yeah.
just have a great chemistry and a great relationship. Do you think that the writer or director do a good job showing the redemption of Dell?
I feel like he did. In my opinion, the reason why is we see he cares about his family, and he's trying to make means work for his family. He got the right business in order, and we also see that he moved. One of the complaints is that he just got any place for his baby mama, and then he moved them to a different city because he's like, my son. He saw his son talking to that one guy.
Yeah, and he got really upset. The drug dealer.
Yeah, right. And he's like, no, I don't want my son to get into this. So he moved his son out of the. I'm not gonna lie, my parents did a similar thing.
But that's it, right? Who you hang around with, especially in your formative years, is what could lead you down your path in your life.
Yeah, right. We can look at a couple of NFL and NBA players.
Absolutely.
Right? They make some wrong choices, and
so
things happen.
I guess my last question before we talk about some likes and dislikes of this movie is: do you think the character of Yvonne was utilized enough in this film?
That might be one of the dislikes. They didn't dive more into the relationship of Philip and Yvonne. It was more... I wanted more explanation of what her actual role was. It wasn't super clear. She seemed really like an assistant, but she was a business partner. It seemed more like an assistant to me.
Yeah, well, we get a little bit of her backstory, right? She was married. She worked for Philip. She got married. She left Philip. Mm-hmm. She got divorced. Then Philip got into his accident, and she rushed back and has been with him. But I feel like, and Nicole Kidman, I thought did a great job in this role. But I feel like they really wasted.
How's Nicole Kidman?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, she's been busy. She's been busy recently. She's got Aquaman out. She's got this movie, Destroyer. I think there's another movie in there too that I
didn't even notice that was Nicole Kidman. Wow, she looks very different in Aquaman and
this.
Yeah. But I feel like she was wasted and she wasn't developed enough. I think there was a lot here. And again, I guess this is Dell and Philip's story.
Yeah, it was more focused on Dell and Philip's relationship and story, and Dell's redemption and Philip's like look at a second life. So
what are some of your likes in this movie? Like, what are the things? I know we talked about a lot of them. You can sum
Yeah.
them up. The things that we spent a lot of time on, and go in depth on some of the things that we didn't spend a lot of time on.
my likes, I'm gonna say, is the chemistry between Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart. The acting was phenomenal. I really felt engaged with the like I actually cared about the characters, and obviously from the beginning I was like, oh, well, didn't really the beginning part I wasn't really too into it, but like just that pretty much aspect. And this just makes you feel good. Like, there's nothing wrong with having a movie that makes you feel good.
I second a lot of what you said. I really like their relationship. I love their chemistry. Hart spends 75% of this movie breaking through Cranston's armor.
Yeah.
Philip, Bryan Cranston's character, he is just put up all this armor, not letting anyone in, and it's slow, but Dell just cracks a little bit at a time before he breaks it all off and reestablishes that connection. As Xavier said, there's nothing wrong with a good feel-good movie. When you walk out of this theater, you're going to feel good, you're going to have a smile on your face, and there's a lot, and that leads me to my last point. There's a lot of humor in this movie.
Yeah.
It's not like a pure comedy movie, but there's a lot of scenes that are just going to make you laugh.
We didn't even talk about a lot of the scenes.
One of the scenes that
the boner scene?
That was what I was just going to say. The one scene that I really liked. So after midway through the movie, when they've already established this good rapport, Dr. Maggie's not around to change the catheter, so Dell has to do it. And he's just like, okay, I can do this. 1, 2. He takes out the catheter and he's got to put it in, but when he goes to put it in, he gets a boner. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm the only person here. Why are you giving me? Why do you have a boner?
Like, I can't help it. It's subconscious.
I can't control it.
Just let it go away. Like...
You're thinking of Yvonne, aren't you? And then as soon as Yvonne opens the door and like he covers the
we were just talking about
you. It's really funny. There's a couple other good gem scenes like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. Like,
I'm getting really high at his
oh my god.
party.
Or the throwing of all of the room and breaking up the room. That's really good. The last thing, I like the music. I like the fact that he liked Aretha Franklin, or Dell liked Aretha Franklin, and Philip liked opera, and like just how they bond over music. And in the end, when they're playing that last song, it's Aretha Franklin doing opera. It's just a great end to a movie, and I like opera, so it really touched me. What about some dislikes, Xavier?
I don't have that much dislikes. Like I said, Yvonne, more development into Yvonne, and I don't really like the beginning of the movie where it shows the ending at the beginning.
Okay. I agree with you on Yvonne's character. I think something else we talked about, I think you'll agree when I say this, is I would have liked more in the ending. I would have liked some more closure, some more scroll. I felt the ending was a little rushed.
Yeah, it's just like, and they're still friends. And
or even just like they go hand gliding in the middle of the air, and like they come down, and then him and Yvonne are talking. It's like, yay, everything's good. You go back to your family. Woohoo!
Yeah, like what happened with him and Yvonne? What happened with him and his family? You know, like.
And lastly, for me, although I did enjoy the beginning, I didn't like the implausibility of it, right? They're outrunning the cops, and they lie to the cops. It's just a little implausible for me, but nothing too crazy. Overall, I really liked it. So what are you giving this out of 10?
Let me give it I'm debating 8 or 8.5. I'll give it 8.5 out of 10.
I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 for all the reasons I said I liked it. And the reason it doesn't get to that 9 is there's a couple things that could have done better.
We match for once.
All right, well, that's it for the upside. We are going to move on to...
the big movie of the week.
Glass.
The M. Night Shyamalan universe. What is it called? The Unbreakable universe?
I guess. Unbreakable, which we talked about last week. And if you really want to get a good sense of what we thought of Unbreakable, be sure to catch our last episode. And then Split came out, and now we are on to Glass.
Mm-hmm.
So, my opening thoughts of this movie are... I got good news and bad news.
So remember, I missed it because I was getting popcorn.
Okay. Good news, bad news situation with this movie. So the good news, it's in my top 10 movies of 2019.
The bad news, it's...
By the end of the year, it'll be in the bottom 10 movies of 2019. You know where this is going for me.
Yeah.
We're going 10 rounds on this one, Xavier.
That's what you think.
I gotta be honest.
I got the Mike Tyson knockout punches.
Well, we'll see. You haven't been able to go toe to toe with me yet, so we'll see if you can take me on this one.
Well, I've been training.
I really just
time chamber.
I really disliked this movie. I was so disappointed by this movie. I
knew you were gonna get disappointed.
Really? Is it because you watched the preview?
No, because you didn't like Split.
I didn't dislike Split. I just didn't love Split. But I love James McAvoy's character in Split. I thought the problem with Split, and I think we'll talk about this as we go on, is Split's movie is too much focused on the girls. I don't care about the girls. I liked him. He's supposed to be the this villain character, but you spend too much of the movie feeling for him, and then at the end the girl kind of Casey feels for him. It just too
it's
long,
really weird.
Drawn out, needed more of a hero
relationship
version to it. So, anyways, to me, if I'm going to sum up this movie, it's truly a January movie. It's long. I think I looked at my watch at least 6 times throughout the movie. What are your opening thoughts?
For me, it's okay. Typical January release. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I just think it's just a movie. Like, it's just whatever to me.
Whatever. Okay. So
you seem to be under the impression that I love it, but
no.
Knowing my score, it's not I love this movie. I just think
no. This movie, if this movie doesn't, spoiler alert, have a failing score, you failed this movie. All right, you failed to fail this movie.
You failed to make a movie.
So I want to start first about talking about the Overseer, and this is kind of the superhero name of Bruce Willis's character, David Dunn.
That's a lame superhero name.
Yeah, Overwatch is better, right?
No.
Anyways, so the movie begins with David Dunn. He's protecting people. So he spent the last 19 years protecting the people of Philadelphia. And he's gone, we find out, through many names, and the current name is the Overseer. That's what the people of Philadelphia call him. We also find out his son Joseph is working with him as kind of the Overwatch. See what I did there?
That's Batman.
Anyways, the two of them own a security shop. His wife is dead, which
Did you like that or no?
It's so typical. They couldn't bring the actress back.
So she's dead.
So let's kill her. That's it. That's what we're going to do. It's so stereotypical of sequels. You know what? We don't want to bring someone back. We're going to kill them or break them up. We just spent an entire movie trying to bring them back together and fix their relationship.
Yeah, but it's 19 years. You know, people can die.
Okay, fine. I'm not that upset, but it bothered me. You asked me what I thought. That wasn't.
No,
that isn't even on my list of criticisms.
I just wanted to know because I knew you hated it.
It's so
That's
nitpicky.
why I thought it was funny to ask.
Okay, so this is kind of where my first kind of criticism of this movie is going to become. The one key element of Unbreakable that we talk about is David was a sad character. He had a lot of sadness in him.
Mm-hmm.
And we get explained in this movie the reason he has sadness is he's not doing what he's supposed to do, right? This is what Elijah Glass tells him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moment he puts on the persona, the moment he becomes what we now know as the Overseer, and he saves the family, and he goes to see Elijah the next day, Elijah's like, it's gone, isn't it? That unfulfilledness, it's gone. And he's like, yeah, I feel better. We see that in his role, right? He feels better about himself. Yet in this movie, we have the exact same David Dunn we had through Unbreakable. He's unfulfilled, he's sad, he's depressed. But he's doing what he's supposed to do.
Maybe because his wife is dead.
Oh, I'm sorry, but no, I don't buy this. This is the whole point is that he needed to be cured of this this unfulfilled feeling, and now he's got it back. So what was the point of the first movie? That was the main theme of the first movie: getting rid of, finding your calling. That was right there. And the first thing we see in this movie is nope. First movie didn't exist. Don't worry about it, guys. He is still depressed. He's still sad, even though he's helping people. Joseph doesn't seem to be sad that his mom's dead.
Yeah, well, everybody deals with loss differently.
Yes,
Okay,
whatever.
So
anyway,
people go through hardships in life, and you're just judging the poor.
Anyway,
guy
I very much. It's probably a little bit of a nitpick in terms of my criticism, but I found it to be a big one because it was one of the main themes, or probably the main theme of David's character in Unbreakable. That was his conflict in the entire movie. Now, we find out that the two of them have been hunting for the Beast, or the Horde, as they become known. And it's been about 3 weeks since since Split happened, or the events of Split happened, and they've taken 4 more cheerleaders, the Horde. So that leads.
I'm not gonna lie, I love that name for a split personality character, the Horde.
Yeah,
I thought that was a sick.
That is a very good name.
Yeah.
So the Horde has captured this group of cheerleaders, and David searches the area and sees the Hedwig character of the Horde. And as David touches him, he sees a vision of the cheerleaders. Uses his son to help him find out where the cheerleaders are, and he goes to save them. As he's freeing these girls, the Beast shows up.
Yeah.
Epic fight scene number 1. And both of them are surprised by each other's strength, right? Each one of them think they are the only ones of their kind.
Yeah.
So, what does David do to help make sure all the girls are safe? He throws the Beast out of the 2nd-story window, 13 feet down to the ground. Hard concrete. Remember this. This is important later. So, they're both fine. No problems, no issues, no damages to them. And as they get up, there's a ton of cops around them. They also have a weapon to combat the Horde and get rid of the Beast. You know what I have to say about this?
What?
Questions. So many questions. First, how would the police get there so quickly? How do they know about David's strength? Because the doctor basically says, I know you could take us all, but do you want to hurt people? How do they know how to combat the Horde? If this is because of the twist later on, which you're not going to spoil, why haven't they tried to stop the Beast for the last 3 weeks? If they've known where he has been. None of it makes any sense. Also, were the two waiting? Were these group waiting for these two people to get together? Because if so, it makes them more of a villain. This organization, as we're going to find out, the Black Clover organization.
Are they Black Clover? That's what they're called?
I don't know. They're where it had black clovers.
I thought it was just tattoos. And
They're
they
of
couldn't get
clovers.
green.
They're black though. Anyway, black also villainous color, right? That's what I'm going with here. So
tattoos are always in
So
black
all
and
of these
white,
questions I have. Do you have any answers to any of these questions?
Well, why the cops got there so fast?
How they got there so
How
quickly?
they got there so quickly? Because it was daytime. By the end of the time, it's night. When he got there, wasn't it? Wasn't he see him during the day and then he went to...
But how do they know that this is an abandoned area of the city of Philadelphia? How do they know that they're there?
Well, they're probably watching... I'm assuming because they probably have like a hacker watching into David's... Or what's his face? What's his son name? Joseph's computer? Because is it encrypted? Because if it's not...
But again...
If you're doing superhero and stuff and you think you're the only ones, you wouldn't know. Would you?
Xavier, I don't think you're making sense here.
What?
Why are they hacking Joseph's computer? How do they know David... Okay, how do they know David has superpowers?
Because there's so many articles about him.
But not about David.
They're about The overseer.
Overseer, exactly. So how do they know it's David?
I'm assuming, like I would say, like say if there was a, if we're doing this, let's say if this is present day, right? Like if there was a Superman in real, I'm assuming they're using a realistic approach. Like you could not hide the fact that you were Superman.
So why did they stop him over the last 19 years? Why are they waiting for this moment as he's about to save 4 girls? You know the PR of that situation.
Well, they're not the government, so they don't really. Are they the government?
Who are you talking about? You're talking about the Black Clover Society? You
Yeah.
can't. We don't know about them yet. We're talking about this scene in the movie.
Oh, the government. Oh, okay, fair enough then.
None of those questions can be answered. And then we get in with the twist of the movie at the end, which will tell you about this Black Clover organization. They don't really they don't answer these questions. They just leave you with more questions. I can ask more questions based on the Black Clover organization.
We can go get to that after.
Okay. Anyways, so none of it makes any sense. They're captured. They know about the Horde's weakness somehow, which again doesn't make any sense.
Maybe they had, what's it called? They had many experiences. Maybe this isn't the first guy that had multiple personality disorders.
So they get locked up into a mental institution in Philadelphia, which leads me to another question. Why is David being locked up into a mental institution? Is he a criminal? Okay, yes, he's technically a vigilante. He's broken the law. He's not mentally insane. He's not told anyone that he has superpowers. He's not like, you can't lock me up, I am strong. He's not saying that. He goes to jail. In fact, where's his lawyer? And I know that this is a movie, but come on, people. This is basic law. You don't just grab someone. This isn't an arch villain.
Well, because they think people that have superpowers are insane, so they think...
But he doesn't say he has superpowers. He never even admits to the superpowers.
Yeah, but they know he thinks he has superpowers.
No, but not according to the movie.
What do you mean?
They say he doesn't have powers. They try to convince him that he has no powers.
They say he thinks he has powers, though. They think he thinks... That's why he went to the mentor.
But he doesn't. But
everybody's there.
But he doesn't. But nobody knows that he thinks this. Which is why the twist doesn't work. I just hope you know this. This is why the twist doesn't work. It makes no sense. You're answering all of these questions based on the fact that you know the twist, but it still doesn't work because that means the twist doesn't make any sense.
Well, wait till you have your twist questions.
Okay, I'll come back to this. I have no issues. So we meet Dr. Ellie Staple, and she tells them, or both of them, at different times because they're in different rooms, that David's room is waterproof, so if he ever tries to escape, water will come down.
He'll drown.
And he drowns because she thinks he has a weakness to water. And then Kevin's room, or the Horde's room, has these lights that will just turn him into a different persona. So basically he says, you guys aren't special, you have no superpowers, and we're also reintroduced to Elijah Price, also known as Mr. Glass, who is heavily sedated, which is, I don't think anyone would believe that he's sedated for even a second, but besides the point. We're also introduced that each of these 3 characters have a connection to the outside world that is a spokesperson for these characters. So we have Elijah, his spokesperson is his mother, who thinks that Elijah's done nothing wrong, that he's a good person, etc., etc. I think this comes into play. Xavier will disagree with me. We have David's connection, which is his son Joseph, who says, you can't hold on my son, he's not crazy, etc., etc. Whatever that means.
Shouldn't they... Never mind, I won't say anything.
And then we have Kevin, or the Horde's person, who is Casey, who is the person in the movie Split who he has tormented, tortured, mentally, maybe not physically.
But he's a good person. Well, Kevin is, not the Horde.
Yet what are her motives? Why is she there for him? Why does she want to help him?
Because the beast didn't hurt her, but it killed her friend.
Yeah, good. Perfect. Yeah, that's it. That makes you're making perfect sense for me, Xavier. Perfect sense. Okay. So, the whole point of bringing these 3 characters together, is that Dr. Staple is trying to convince each one of these 3 people that they are not special. She doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So she decides to bring all 3 of them together in the same room, which is the first trailer that you get of all 3 of them sitting in the same room. I don't understand how this works. Because she starts to convince them, all of them, well, the 2 of them that are coherent, because Elijah's sedated.
He's all like...
She tries to convince them that they aren't special. And it works. The Beast... No. Those metal bars, I could bend them with a wrench. I could walk on the walls. And then other things as well.
Well, climbers could walk on the walls if they... I didn't obviously really.
It makes no sense. And what about that explains the events of the that explains the events of Split, but that doesn't explain the events of the 3 weeks after Split where the Beast has been active. He got shot 3 times. Oh, those weren't real guns. They're old guns. Rubber. They're rubber. You're fine.
He got shot in the chest with a shotgun.
Yeah. And it bounced off him.
Mm-hmm.
Then she goes to David and says, you know what? You don't have any powers. It's like intuition. You saw this. And she starts to explain the events that we saw earlier in the movie. But let's not forget, it's been 19 years. How is there doubt that he has superpowers? We talk about the car that he ripped open.
Well, not the fact that they just fell out of a 19 story.
13 stories. Remember that? I told you remember that. Not a scratch on them. Fell off the 2nd story. Fine. The car incident in the first movie where he rips the car open. The fake football injury.
How high was that fall?
Pardon?
How high was that fall? Because they had 0 injuries to them.
I know. That's my whole point, which is why it makes no sense. What about the fact he survived a train crash all by himself? Like, how is there a doubt? And yet he starts to believe, maybe I don't have superpowers. What is going on? We don't know what's going on in these 19 years that he's been active. What other super feats that he's done? Like this point right here is mind-boggling. And it's such a big part of the movie. Of this convincing. It's like 30 to 45 minutes of this movie of her trying to convince them that they don't have superpowers and it's working. How?
Listen, I thought when I watched that part, I didn't think it worked either. I was like, okay, what's going on here?
So what's your thoughts on it then? If it's not working, you're very calm and collective, and I'm losing my mind because it's so stupid. It makes no sense.
I just thought it was funny that the lady's like, what? She's like, you know what? Maybe some people are climbing. I'm like, okay, how do you explain him climbing on there? What? Maybe the Beast doesn't have powers. Maybe I'm just assuming it. I'm like, you split between 13 personalities in there? You guys don't believe in the power? Like, it's weird to me. Or the fact that David, like you said, he's been doing it for 19 years. And he still doesn't think he has a superpower or anything like that. He's like, what? Maybe she's telling the truth. And the reasons are the worst reasons ever. I'm just like, oh, okay.
So you have no justification of this?
No.
Perfect. We're going to move on then. So, after this scene, the mastermind, the master, the brains reemerges. And like everyone knew, Glass is not really sedated. And we find out he's aware of everything. And that night he goes through the files of the Horde. And as he's reading through the files, he's just like, gasp, and drops all the papers all over the floor. And then he goes to talk to the Horde. And he's like, I want to talk to the Beast. Patricia comes in. And he's like, why do you want to talk to the Beast? Do you even believe? And he's like, I believe. I've always believed. And if you let me talk to the Beast, we are all escaping tomorrow night.
Doesn't he say that line where comic books are like the
history of humanity?
History of humanity. He says that speech again.
Yes, he does. So Patricia's like, okay, you can meet the Beast tomorrow. I hope for your sake you can deliver on your promise. He's like, Okay, I can. It's like, what's your name? First name, Mister. Second name, Glass. Okay.
Yeah, that was super lame.
Yeah. A little bit. A little bit.
I was like, nothing.
So...
And that's even Samuel L. Jackson was doing that. He can make anything.
I
cool.
know, but he did not make that. He did not make that look cool.
So maybe he's starting to get old. Who knows?
No, I don't think it's. I think it's just such a poorly written movie that even he couldn't save it. So the next morning, they wake up Elijah, and they send him to get lobotomized. So this idea, they can't convince them that if they're not superheroes, they're going to go under this machine that will wipe their memories. Okay, I guess. Sure.
Why do you keep his memories? How do you keep his memories if he got lost?
Well, he didn't. Remember, we're going to find out that he removed the piece that...
Oh, yeah.
Because he's the mastermind and he knows everything that's going on. He's 5 steps ahead of everybody.
And what was the reason why the cameras didn't work? Because his...
we're going to find out he plays with the cameras.
Before that, wasn't the car like... The car did something to the cameras that he said. And I was like, what? That doesn't really make sense.
What? Sorry, you have to explain.
Like, apparently the guy that would come in, what's his face? Who's the name of that?
The guard.
Nurse guy.
I don't know his name, but it's just one of the guards.
Yeah, one of the nurse dudes. I think it's Daryl. Like, he'd come in and his car would do something to make the cameras glitch.
No, not make the cameras glitch. He would just take time so he could go in and delete all of the film. And play with the camera. He had time to talk to everyone. That was the idea. Okay. So this guy always comes in. His car was old, so he always came in late. And then he talked to people, so he always had like 10 minutes to do his own thing. Change meds, etc., etc.
Yeah, he was out there way longer than 10 minutes, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, he gets caught on camera because there's 100 cameras set up just to make sure Glass doesn't do anything. But he's too smart and his brain's too powerful that he... deletes all the cameras, but he arranges so that he gets caught on camera, so they use this machine on him to think they're lobotomized, and then at the next night, the guard that comes in, he slits his throat, and then it shows how he removed the piece at night, and now he goes to see.
So that was the black flashback. That's why that part was pretty confusing. I was like, "Is that?"
Of course, it's confusing. The movie makes no sense. But
I was like, "That was the flashback." Oh, okay.
So he goes to see the Beast and tells the Beast the plan. I'm going to take you and David and we're going to this new skyscraper opening in Philadelphia and you're going to fight so the whole world can see that both of you, that superheroes actually exist. Okay. Yay? So he tells David the plan. David's like, nope, I'm not really a superhero. I can't really do anything, so I'm just going to stay here. And Elijah's like, okay, well, I turned off the water. There's only one way out there through that steel plate door. If you want to get out, we know you can do it. And then that was it. David sits on his bed and mopes for the rest of the night. Does that sound about right still?
Yeah.
Okay. So, then we have the fight outside the hospital. So, Glass escapes with the Horde. And they apparently go the wrong way and they get caught. So as they're trying to escape, and for some reason the Horde grabs 2 of the nurses to do something with them. Again, I don't really understand that.
Did they grab the 2 nurses?
Yeah, remember he throws them in the back of the...
Oh, because I guess he's like...
Back of the truck.
Yeah, that was weird.
Of course it's weird. The whole movie's weird. So... As they're fighting all these guards and the Beast is doing his thing and Elijah's just watching, smiling, David arrives and they fight. Epic scene number 2. Fight between the 2 of them. But as they're fighting and the 3 people, those 3 connections to the outside world and the doctor all arrive together at the front. And Joseph, the son, he runs in and is like, wait a minute, Beast! Hold on before you do anything. I have news. And the Beast listens. And basically, what happened to the Beast's father, or Kevin's father, the original personality, is he was on the train at the beginning of Unbreakable.
Yeah.
And that Glass, Elijah, killed his father. And
terrorism.
Well, oh boy. So what does the Beast do? He punches Glass, and it's going to be a fatal blow that will eventually kill him. slowly, and then the fight continues between David and the Beast. They get thrown into a pool of water. David takes a gulp in, and he pretty much out of commission at this point. And the Beast is going to the skyscraper. But on the way, Casey grabs him, and is like, "I want Kevin. Bring Kevin out." Kevin comes out because it worked. That's the only reason Casey's in this movie, to make this one grab. And then a sniper shoots Kevin, killing him. And the SWAT guy goes to drown David into a pool of water. But just before, the doctor tells David to grab her hand, and we see this surveillance video of this group, which I'm going to call the Black Clover Group, Society, whatever.
Black Clover.
Because they all have black clovers on their hand. And this group is deciding they're going to kill all the supers. That their job is to get rid of anyone who's a superhero, whether they're good or bad.
Not superhero, just anyone that's all the metahumans.
Sorry, metahumans, whatever you want to call it. They wanted to kill them all.
Don't
good,
sue us,
bad.
DC.
Elijah's mom basically asked Elijah, "I thought this was the limited edition story," and Elijah's like, "No, it was an origin story," and he dies. And you think the movie's over, but no, it's not. Because we have a new hero. The origin story is Elijah. Elijah is the true hero of this movie. Maybe not the hero. Maybe I'm going a little bit too far in this. But it's definitely his redemption story.
I don't know if it would be redemption.
Oh, 100%. And I'll go over it, and you can feel free to criticize all you want. But it's important that we understand this. Actually, I'll ask you this question. Who is the unquestionable villain in this movie?
I wouldn't say the Black Cloverfield's the villain. I'd say they're more the antagonist than the villain.
Okay, well, let's talk about this then, because you think it's. I think unquestionably that Dr. Staple and the Black Clover Society are the villains. Unquestionable, no doubt. It's not even out to grabs, and
So you
I'll
think
explain
what they're
why.
doing is evil?
Of course, it's evil. They're killing people.
So does David.
Okay, I don't understand your point.
So but David's considered a hero,
David
right?
kills bad people.
They're more. I feel like their killing's more based on like a logical, because what their
Okay.
argument is, if you have superpowered beings, it's always.
Well, let's explain to our listeners why he's a hero
Okay.
first.
Right.
So basically, Ellie goes back to this group and says, "Don't worry, guys. There will be no backlash. We took care of everything. Everything's good. You have nothing to worry about." But when she goes to a comic book shop, she overhears two kids talking about the mastermind villain and how they're making you look one way when they're really doing another thing. And then she gets this, like a light goes off. Oh my God. Elijah didn't get caught by accident. He got caught on purpose. So everyone would be watching the video. So she goes back to the hospital and realizes the video's been tampered with and been uploaded. Well, Elijah sent the hacked video of everything that happened to all three of those connections. His mother, to Joseph, and to Casey. And the three of them put the video to the world. And the movie ends with the three of them sitting there watching the video go public on news channels. So this leads me to my number one criticism of this movie. That Elijah is a hero, and if not a hero, at the very least, is a redemption story. And I want you to think about this. All three of them are criminals. There's no doubt. You can talk about... Yeah, they're all three. The Horde, Glass, and David, they all have criminal elements to them. They're different levels, but they are all criminals. But who is the villain of the movie? It's Dr. Ellie Staple. She is killing people in this movie. In this movie, she is the people killing. She kills the main hero. The main hero is David. That's who's been established in this universe as the hero, right? We see it in Unbreakable. We see it in Split. Right? The scene after the credits in Split is David's like, I gotta get to work and find this beast. He is the hero. And killed him in cold blood. Secondly, if we are under this impression from my first question about how the police know that they've been keeping tabs on David the entire time and keeping tabs on the Beast the entire time, and we're waiting for them to get together, that means these criminals, this organization, is willing to allow people to die in order to catch them both together. Villain, villain, villain. Glass, who is is seen as the mastermind villain. And this goes back to the first movie, where we get described what the mastermind villain is. The mastermind villain is, I quote, the real threat. They're brilliant and the evil arch enemy who fights the hero with their mind. Who does that sound in this movie? Glass or the Doctor?
Yeah, sure. It's the
Doctor. She's convincing our hero that he's not really a superhero. Convincing with your mind. That brilliant, evil arch enemy who fight heroes with their mind. That's exactly what Staples doing in this movie. Fighting the hero with the mind. You know who's not fighting David with his mind? Glass. Who's helping David show the world what...
I think he's more using David.
Doesn't matter. To protect people. Because this organization, which he knows about, because in his email he sends everyone, there's a clip of him speaking where he talks about this organization that's hunting down people that are different. Mutants, metas, whatever you want to call them. They're hunting them down. And you know what? By showing the world, he's protecting the next generation of heroes from getting killed. I don't care if it's selfish. It doesn't matter. He's saving people.
Totally
he's protecting
matters
people.
If it's selfish.
How is it selfish? He dies in the end. He dies so everyone else.
So he can have his dream of.
Are people
superheroes around. The whole first Unbreakable, his whole obsession is.
But you take away the first Unbreakable. This is a different movie.
But it's based in the same universe.
But does it?
Right?
Wait, whoa! But why is it okay why is it okay for you? You just told me when I talked about David and his thing that people change. Why can't Glass have changed? We gotta go by this movie. What we know, we can't use.
He's been sedated the whole time.
He hasn't been sedated the whole time.
And the reason he has no reason to change. David has a
true or false. True or false.
Change.
People are protected by this action. True or
I wouldn't
false?
say protected.
So you're telling me that people now are aware of this organization. The next person that comes with heroes is going to be killed right away.
They're not going to get killed right away.
Because of why?
Because now they're aware.
Because of
protection.
By
Glass.
So what do heroes do? What is the job of a hero to do to people?
I wouldn't.
He's not a pure hero. I'm not saying that he is that Glass is a pure hero, but there is no doubt that the actions are heroic. He sacrifices himself and saves the next generation. That is heroic. You've now, by doing that, you've changed the fundamental character of Glass. It is an unparalleled flaw that this movie cannot recover from. He's supposed to be the mastermind. That's the whole idea. He's supposed to be playing with David's mind. The twist should have been that Elijah was in on it the entire time. That Elijah wasn't actually in the mental institution. He was running the mental institution. That's what a mastermind does.
So you should have been the guy killing these heroes?
Yes! Because guess what arch villains do?
They kill heroes.
They kill heroes!
Well, not every
Who killed David?
The Black Clover team.
Who did not kill David?
Glass.
Oh, would you look at that?
Yeah, but there's lots of villains that don't kill.
True or false? Did Glass want David dead?
No.
Oh, that doesn't sound like a villain to me. Did Glass want anyone dead?
Well, yeah, he killed that one guy.
That was a member of the Black Clover. I'm assuming everyone working with those people are glad. That is a fair assumption.
Because he was there before that Black Clover gang. So the Black
Clover gang has been there for the entire time watching it. Otherwise, Elijah would have. How else would they know to sedate him? Of course, they were there the entire time.
I thought they sedated him because he went out and went crazy and changed the. He tried to escape when he saw the schematics from that plumber or something.
Exactly,
right?
And that's when this guy came around. Part of the Black. The Black Clover organization has to know everything about Glass. So this guy had to know everything about him and the dangers of him. Therefore, he must have known. It's a very fair assumption. Is that okay? Whether or not it is it a fair assumption to say that he was a member?
Probably not, because every other member had.
We didn't see his
deliberately
hand.
showed the tattoo.
But we didn't. His hand was covered the entire time. That's not fair. It's not like we saw his hand and it wasn't there.
I mean, if there was
And
a
he
subtle
knew-
hint of seeing that, I would
knew
give
about-
it to him for sure. You can assume that, but you can't.
I'm sorry,
base
but
it on
I'm sorry, but now
100%
I think you're just trying to be difficult here.
I'm not being difficult. It's just it's
Okay.
an assumption, right? Because like we didn't see her hand until we saw that she had the tattoo.
Yeah,
And then we saw
because she had it covered the
one
entire
guy
time.
had the tattoo.
But it's irrelevant. I think it's irrelevant whether or not the two people had it. The only people Glass wanted dead in the movie are the Black Clover organization people. That's it. That's the truth of the movie. You can lie to our audience all you want, but that's the simple truth of the movie.
I'm not lying to the audience.
Am I wrong in my statement? The only people that Glass wanted dead in this movie were the Black.
Okay, in this
Clover.
movie, fair enough.
So in this movie, everything that we've talked about, Glass is the hero. He's not villainous.
I wouldn't say he's the
So
hero. I'd
what
say
does he do that's villainous in this movie?
He literally just murdered somebody.
But let's say I'm right for argument's sake, and he's a member of that organization. Is it okay? Heroes kill. We gotta be very careful. I mean, Captain America and the Avengers killed a lot of the army, the Chitauri army, and the Avengers. So let's be very careful when we talk about killing.
Fair enough.
So if I am correct, which I don't think is a huge stretch, if I am correct, what does he do that's villainous?
Well, I'd say heroes kill, but not like cold. But you don't. What hero slits somebody's throat?
It's irrelevant. He's made of glass. If he can't fight him, if he punches him in the face, he's gonna break his hand.
He could just sedate him or something.
How? How's he gonna get? What's he gonna sedate him
He's
with?
a mastermind. He could think of a way to do it.
Oh
would
my!
he not?
Oh boy! Yeah.
Come on.
Therefore, he's not. Therefore, you're just making my point that he's not a mastermind in this movie. He is.
I'm just saying he's.
He
okay,
does.
He's not a mastermind.
He is.
He's super intelligent.
Let's reform my statement. He's the anti-hero. Then he's a Deadpool.
Okay, fine. Anti-hero.
Fine, but so he's still the word hero in the title, still making me right that he is not a villain in this movie. He is the anti-hero. He will do bad things in order to be heroic.
Fair.
Therefore, still making the Black Clover hand, this entire conversation, me still being right at the end of the day that he is the hero of the movie. Because Deadpool is damn sure the hero of the Deadpool movies. And he is an anti-hero, but we're going to call him a hero. So you can't pick and choose when you want to call someone a hero.
Fair enough.
Sorry, just going to deep breath.
Someone's a little,
Because this movie wrecks a great movie. You know what I gave Unbreakable if you watched it last week. I gave it a 9.5.
It's more you have a bias for
Unbreakable, and that's why you hate the movie more.
I proved
fair.
I proved my point to you that Glass is the hero. It's over.
Yeah,
you
but
flat out
even-
admitted that I was right about this. So we're done.
Even then,
Now,
you
so this leads me to some questions. All right, no,
Yeah.
you were beaten.
Yeah,
All right,
Okay, fine.
10 rounds. Told you I was gonna take this one. Yeah, all that training. You better go back to some more training.
The way you talk about it, it's like I rated the movie an 8, but you know I didn't rate the movie.
Well, we're
an
gonna find out what you rated in a moment. But I got some questions still. Still got some questions. So here's my. Now let's talk about. I talked about why the plot I didn't like. I talked about Glass. I talked about a couple things, but I want to talk about other aspects that just mind-boggling. And be weary. Some of this might be nitpicking, but it needs to be talked about. So why didn't the Black Clover Society kill them from the start?
Because they're trying to do a more humane way.
Okay, fine. I'm with you.
Convince them they're not
I
heroes.
am 100% on your side that they're trying to convince the Horde and they're trying to convince David that they are not heroes. But what about Elijah? He's sedated, number one. How can they convince someone who's sedated that they're not actually a hero? And number two, and perhaps more importantly, Elijah's been there for 19 years. Why did they try to do this 19 years earlier? Or when they tried to escape and they started sedating him? He was clearly too smart to work this on. It makes no sense. M. Night Shyamalan has not taken in consideration this gap in time. If this was made a year later, okay, now I'm a believer, or even like 3 weeks later, or 4 weeks later, or 4 months later, I'm a little bit more of a believer. But 19 years, Elijah should have been dead, or at least the machine should have been worked on him.
Yeah. True.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Next question. Now we've addressed this, but I think it needs to be talking again. Why would David Dunn ever even slightly believe that his superpowers are in his mind? It's been 19 years. Again, Shyamalan is not considering this huge time gap. He actually begins to believe it.
Well, David Dunn doesn't seem to be like the brightest guy in that. I'm just saying.
But you're telling me that come on. This is
No,
brutal. This is beyond poor writing. This isn't even disbelief. This is just like, what the hell am I watching? No?
What? I just felt, I was like, whatever.
All right. And this is another question for you. Why would the audience ever believe that these superpowers were in the character's mind? Because that's kind of the thing, right? In order to buy into this twist,
The audience
has to believe. But the whole point of Unbreakable and Split was to show that characters actually had these powers. That was the whole point of the movie. Again, you're contradicting the theme of the first two movies. This isn't about me liking Unbreakable better. This is just simply going against the script they wrote in Unbreakable. Why? It made the fact that Ellie was in on something bigger right off the bat obvious. The twist to me was there wasn't even a twist. Okay, maybe that they were a Black Clover society. I didn't know that aspect to it. But there is no doubt in my mind that Ellie Staple knew that these characters had superpowers. The first her first line in the movie is, "I know you're strong, but how much collateral damage do you want to do?" That line in itself destroys your twist. Why doesn't the Horde know that Glass killed his father? It makes no sense.
Wait, why would they know?
Well, Kevin was on the platform when the train left. You think he didn't know that the train got into a car accident? Train accident? And you don't think that it was national news that Glass was the guy who did it?
Well, that's true.
So why wouldn't he know? And the Horde has all of Kevin's memories. Why wouldn't they know that Glass killed the dad? Why did it take Joseph telling him? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, we do realize that he does hang out in secluded areas. So
it doesn't.
See a TV or
that might be true in the last 5 years, but what about the first 5 years?
The first, what did
he doesn't turn into. He doesn't. It's not right away that he turns into the Horde. He's Kevin for a while, right? His mother abuses him. That's his backstory. After the dad died, so clearly he knows his dad died. Clearly he knows he died in a train accident, and clearly he knows that Glass is responsible. So how in the hell is this a surprise in the movie? For the audience, absolutely, no doubt. We didn't know that. We wouldn't know that. But how in any name that makes sense in movies does Kevin not know?
Maybe he doesn't believe in the news. I don't know.
Okay. Also, Joseph is the one who finds this information out first, and Glass does as well. Fair enough. Whatever. And if Joseph finds out fairly easy, it even makes more sense that how does Kevin not know? But he's so excited for this information. I don't understand why he's excited about this information. He doesn't know that the Horde is working with Glass at this point. Why does he care? Why is it such important information that Joseph finds out? Oh my God! Kevin's dad was on the same train as my dad. This information is going to break the movie. It's just a poor piece of writing by Shyamalan that doesn't make any sense into this movie. Ellie holds out her hand to David. So just before David dies, he gets to see the whole thing. Everything that's going on. And now the way this power works is when David touches someone, he sees their sins. Right? Mm-hmm. That's the whole premise from Unbreakable. And in this movie Glass, he touches someone, he sees their sins.
Yeah.
So when he touches Staple, All he sees is a room. What sin is he seeing?
That's not the same thing.
This is the whole point of this minor psychic ability is to see the sin.
Well, he saw gluttony.
What is he supposed to take out of it? What is the audience supposed to take out of it? Oh, you're dead now. This is their sin? What is David supposed to take from this before he dies? It's supposed to be the whole twist for the audience, but it's like, but that's not how his power works.
Maybe he forgot how the power worked. Maybe he's
now you're just stretching here. Like at this point, you just gotta jump off your bandwagon and jump onto my
bandwagon. It has to be a bandwagon when the movie's like an 8 and above. I don't love this.
Here's another question for you: why would people care about this footage that's been released?
Well, for superheroes, or like
why would people care? Like if I saw that video, I'd be like, it's doctored somehow. Like why are we believing this?
Well, we don't know if they believe it or not. We just see them go.
I know, but it doesn't. Like I don't understand. Like this. Whatever.
This is a special effect. Oh, so technically he's not the hero because technically it doesn't work.
Oh please.
Oh, so you lost the argument. I've won. There you go. Thank you. You can't have that. Oh, it's over.
Okay.
I'm the champion.
Last thing I want to talk about before I feel like I've done a good job ripping this movie to shreds. But one last thing I want to talk about is. What did you think of the fact that David Dunn was drowned in a pool of water or a puddle of water by the police? What are your thoughts on it? Honest thoughts.
I don't care about David Dunn, so I thought it was pretty funny.
I just think it's a waste of a character. This is what bad sequels do. They destroy the characters that they've built. And M. Night Shyamalan should be ashamed of himself for making this movie and ruining Unbreakable. He should be. He definitely didn't spend. And I'm not trying to say that M. Night Shyamalan is a horrible director. I really like M. Night Shyamalan. I loved Unbreakable. I think as I said last week, it was better watching it a week ago than it was when it first came out. Sixth Sense. I like The Village. I like The Happening, even though most people don't. But this is worse than The Last Airbender. This is his absolute worst movie that he has ever directed. Should be ashamed.
No, it's still The Last Airbender.
What ranking are you giving this out of 10?
I'm gonna give it a 5.
A 5.
Well, what's so bad about a 5? It's
a pass. You passed this movie. It has passed. Give me. What are your positives? I have nothing. I can give you one positive.
Positive is James McAvoy.
That is my 3. I'm giving this movie a 3. 1 because of James McAvoy. 2 because of James McAvoy, and 3 because of James McAvoy. The only thing worth watching in this movie if you're going to go see it. In fact, do yourself a favor. Find someone on YouTube that has the ability. Get this movie. Just put every scene with James McAvoy in the movie and just watch James McAvoy because that's all you need to do in this movie because nothing else is worth watching. Not one plot point, not one character, not one joke, nothing. There's not one good thing about this movie except for him.
I like that they brought back the son, and I also like that they killed David Dunn. 'Cause it's pretty funny.
I just want to let everyone know that feel free on anything to criticize me if you disagree with me, which I don't think you will. I really think you're going to be on my side on this one if you've seen the movie. But please, hate mail to Xavier for passing a movie that might be the worst movie of the. This movie is horrible. The more I'm thinking about it, I'm you know what? I'm changing it right now. 2 out of 10. Unwatchable.
There you
2
go.
2 out of 10.
Oh, so.
Changing it right now.
Would you rather watch this or Bumblebee?
Bumblebee.
Ooh, okay.
Bumblebee. I would rather watch Bumblebee again because you know
this
what?
Batman
at least Bumblebee. First 5 minutes are good.
15. First 15 minutes.
Your joke was the first 5 minutes. That's the joke we've been going with that movie.
15.
You can't change the joke.
I said 15.
Roll
the tape. It's 15. I said it.
And the answer? Right now, Batman vs. Superman.
Wow. I think you're just on a hate train.
Well, Batman and Superman has some action sequences that are interesting, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be close. That'd be the top. It might be my bottom. At the end of this year, we're gonna look at our bottom 10 movies of the decade. I bet you Glass will be on my list.
Yeah, obviously. It's a Glass.
So 5 out of 10 for you?
Yeah, I wasn't that passionate about it, and I wasn't intensely looking at it as much as you were.
But after all this conversation, you're still not changing it any lower.
No.
Wow. I've lost a little. I'm not gonna lie, a little respect lost for this rating. I'm a little. Normally, I don't care. Like, to each their own. But like, I don't feel like you've got positives to say about this movie to pass it. At least give it a 4.5. At least fail at 4.5.
Like, what's it called? My thing is, I liked it because like the bad. When I have a movie that has like bad writing, it's just funny to me. So I just think it's funny. So I give it a pass.
Or at least that's a logical thing. That's the first time you said that though. Just saying.
Oh, someone's just taking shots at me.
No, I said that's the first time you said it. That's a good reason to like it. I said I'm just saying you never said that before. If you had at least said it was horrible, but it was so bad I enjoyed it, I would have accepted that. At least that's a positive thing to say about it.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad.
All right, enough about Glass. The atrocities that was Glass.
Come on, like it was. You didn't think it was funny that like the main guy, Unbreakable, they just drowned him in a little pool?
No, that's his weakness.
In the little pool of water. It's not even like a big puddle. It's just like this small like pothole. This guy that's been saving people for 19 years, dead in a pothole.
How would you like it if Spider-Man died that way?
He would never die.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, moving on to that.
They
That's
did
it.
kill his character, and I got pissed off.
Oh, there it is. Especially if he dies in a stupid way like that, it's just a disgrace to good
Kind of died
characters.
in a worse way, to be honest, but that's a long story.
Okay. Anyways, that's it for the new movies that came out this week. My recommendation is avoid Glass like the plague. Go see The Upside. Now, we're going back to the vault this week, and as we said, we had some votes for us to watch The Goonies. So we are going to review The Goonies. We're going to dive deep into this movie. All right. You want to start with this one, Xavier? I've started with the last two.
Sure. So, The Goonies.
Bunch of little kids. It starts off with these guys escape from prison. They're called the
Fratellis.
Fratellis. Sorry.
It's okay.
They're Italian. I really like, which is the one that sings a lot. I like that one the most. Jake? Yeah, Jake Fratelli. His singing. I'll tell you one of my favorite scenes in the movie later on. And while they have this police chasing, I really like the creativity because it starts introducing like all the main characters. So you get Mickey, you get
Mikey,
you get
Mouth,
Chunk, Data, Mouth.
Data. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Are you
Same
serious
thing. No,
right
it's
now?
Data. You're right.
All right, and you just out of all the Goonies, who's your favorite Goonie?
My favorite Goonie is definitely Chunk.
Chunk, mine's Data.
The kid from the Temple of Doom.
Yeah,
Love that kid too. They're all great, but why Data?
Data, I don't know. It's just
he's just so funny. Just the way he says everything, and then just the not racially okay. By the way, just like and all his inventions. He's like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" I feel like I'd be like that kid. You know, I'd have all these dumb inventions, and people are like, "That's dumb." I'm like, "No, it's not."
I think Chunk's the funniest. He's the guy I laugh at the most.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a klutz, right? He always eating. He's always complaining about food. Like he just sees food. He's like, "Oh my god, food! I want it." But I think I relate most to Mikey's character though. Like the character. He's more
Of course
like
you do. You always relate to the main character.
I don't always relate to the main character. I do a lot of the time. No, not always. Actually,
Who's your favorite character? Goku, Optimus Prime. Who else? Superman.
I like the good characters. See, this is the problem. You're looking at these are all morally good characters. Who's the moral character of the Goonies?
That's a good question.
It's Mikey. He's the one always trying to be like. He's the one who listens to his mom the most. He's the one that cares about like when they go to the attic and everyone's trying to trash everything. He's the one like
Keep it together, guys.
Right? So, like, I mean, I like that. That's the kind of character I relate to. That's the kind of character. That's what I try to strive to be. I try to strive to be good.
Oh, look at you.
I know
The
you're,
sun shines and rainbows.
but they're all good in their own way, right? Mikey is the asthmatic. He uses puffer throughout the movie, which I think is hilarious.
I used to have a puffer, so that reminded me when I was a kid watching that movie. That gave me lots of memories.
He's the leader of the Goonies. He's the rule follower. You know, but you gotta like Mouth, right? Mouth is the trash talker, the troublemaker. He's sarcastic all the time,
Making mama jokes.
Yeah.
Trolling.
I can't believe you didn't talk about all the cool gadgets with that.
Yeah, obviously. I did talk
did
about
you?
his inventions.
He
And then
mentions
people
Drew.
thought it was stupid.
Oh yeah. So
You weren't listening to me.
no,
Selective
who cares?
listening.
Yeah, selectively. Well, you did talk about how much you like Glass, so I
Yeah,
can't.
you're
You're a little butthurt about
I am, you know. But overall, what are your impressions of it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Like rewatching it, like this is a movie from 1985, and this movie is pure 80s. Like when you watch this movie, when you think of all the cliches about the 1980s, this movie had every single one of them.
I don't hate the cliches of the 1980s, and plus a lot of movies have helped people like the 80s more, like some episodes of Black Mirror, Stranger Things, what's it called?
But it's a storytelling though. Like that's all the
Yeah.
culture of the 80s that's come back. What about the storytelling of the 1980s?
Yeah,
It's a little out there.
We're so used to nowadays these depressed and dark versions of things that it's nice to have a little to go back and see something that's a lot more regular and it's just so funny seeing Josh Brolin in this.
Oh my god, Josh Brolin. You know he's like 16 in this movie or 17. He looks like he's like today.
Yeah, I was like how old is this? Like this guy is
He's
massive,
young.
He's
He's
huge.
a teenager. But like to me, it's a classic. It's still a classic. I enjoyed it. I almost enjoyed it more now. It's a fun story. It's a fun adventure. It's comedic. The characters are great. I like the villains. It's the 1980s. You know, I love. It's in right now. Like we talked about Stranger Things. There's the Goldbergs. You know. It's such an in decade.
Even
right
the villains are more, reminiscent of like the Home Alones. Like the
Yes.
villains are very stupid, but they think they're really smart.
slapstick
Like,
comedy, right?
yeah,
I also. What do you think of the score? I know you like movie scores. I love the score of the Goonies.
the score is pretty good. Big fan.
So the movie kind of begins, as you said, like with the Fratelli. So Mama Fratelli and Francis breaking Jake out of jail. So and as they're breaking out of jail, there's this car chase. It's a hilarious breakout scene though. Like he gets outside of the car, but the car door won't open. So he like jumps in through like the sunroof. It's again just a funny way to start the movie. And in this car chase, as the car is going around, we get to meet all of the main characters, all of the Goonies, one by one by one. Right? They're going through the city. The music was great. The scene was great. It was just again, where the adventure starts right away.
Yeah, and it was a good way to introduce the characters. I like it. I felt it was pretty creative. You don't really see that in movies anymore. Sometimes you get a weird email sent to you, and then it has 3 characters that'll be in the next movie. Which is not a creative way.
Is that a dig at a movie?
Yeah.
Does the movie have 3 words?
Yeah.
And one of the words is a letter with just a V?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. So as we meet the main characters, after this credits are done, we start with Mikey and his brother Brand, and we're just kind of getting this information. This is their last weekend in this house. That they're going to lose their house. That they're building a country club on that spot. We meet all of the other Goonies. They all kind of come to Mikey's house, and we learn that the Goonies are the rejects of kind of like the town, or of the kids of the town. Again, pretty much Stranger Things if you think about it. Like they are pretty much the Goonies. They're the outcasts of their little community.
Oh, it's another one of those that have.
Oh my god!
feel.
Right? But like, I mean, that's it's so.
I can see the influences of Goonies on it. which is
Oh,
very.
on so many movies that deal with kids,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Of all the kids that are the outcasts, this is where the Goonies come in.
Yeah.
It's kind of the first one that puts them together. At least the first one at least the best one that puts it together. And I want to talk a little bit about the writing before we really get into it. Do you know the two people who wrote the script?
Who?
Steven Spielberg and Chris Columbus. Do you know some of the stuff that Chris Columbus has done?
No.
He did more of his later stuff. The first two Harry Potter movies, he directed them.
Okay.
Those
were crap.
I'm pretty sure he directed Mrs. Doubtfire. Wait, did you say the Harry Potters were crap?
The first two.
Really? I like the first two. He directed Mrs. Doubtfire. There's a ton of other movies that he's done too. And then obviously we all know who Steven Spielberg is. He's done
Who's that again? What is he?
Yeah, he did this movie, The Terminal.
Okay.
With Catherine Zeta-Jones and Tom Hanks.
Oh, okay. What about what's a famous movie by him? I'm still not catching it.
Munich.
Munich? Okay.
Deals with the 1972 bombing at the Summer Olympics in Munich.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I think you're thinking of Jaws.
Oh.
Indiana Jones, Saving Private Ryan, Hook.
Never watched any of those.
Oh, they're pretty good. Anyway, so these rejects, they decide to go in to see their dad's attic, and we find out about this pirate, One-Eyed Willie, and he left an insane amount of treasure. It's rumored to be somewhere in the city. And they
Ready Player One.
Huh? Yes, a little bit. Look at this, more 80s references. So, in the attic, they find this map to the treasure, and Mikey sees something kind of related to this map, or sees this map, but doesn't want to break the glass. So he gives it to Chunk, and it's like, here, can you hold this for 3 seconds? And Chunk holds, and as he's holding it, he's like, I can't hold this, I can't do this, and he drops it, and it breaks open.
Yeah.
He grabs the map, and then there's like a piece that goes with it, like some kind of thing you look through.
Yeah.
And they decide, Mikey convinces the Goonies to go find the treasure. Yes. Nice little treasure hunt.
Josh is like, no.
Brand.
Sorry, I said
We're
Josh.
My bad. So Brand's like, no, because Mom said we couldn't go. We're not going. Mom said you have to stay in the house. You have asthma. You're not allowed to leave. So the Goonies use his... I think it's called like a spring chest expander.
Yeah.
It's like the thing that he used to build up your chest. And they tie it around him. And then they go grab their bikes and they leave. But before they grab their bikes, they take the tires.
Out of his
the
bike.
pressure out of his tires. And Mikey's like, you can't do that. That's his most prized possession.
Yeah, he just bought it.
Again, showing you Mikey's good characters. Yeah, he saved. He worked.
Loans?
Yeah.
How many lawns did he mow?
Like 100 lawns, or something
Yeah.
like that. Something like that. So they ride off on their bikes looking for treasure. What's another show that they ride off in bikes looking for things? It's Stranger Things, right?
Stranger
Like
Things,
all
so
of that kind of things. So this is the adventure beginning. So they come. The mom comes home, and I think this was a hilarious scene. And Bran is lying backwards on the couch. The couch is falling, and he's like, "Mom, get me out of here!" And
where's your brother?
no, she doesn't even say that. What she says is why are you you're working out too hard? You're gonna hurt yourself. I always told you that. And it's so funny because Mom just keeps walking away like nothing's wrong, like he's not tied up. And then eventually she's like, "Go find your brother. You have to find him." So he gets on. He's looking for his bike, but it's deflated. So he steals a bike from his neighbor,
This little girl.
a nice pink little bike.
I want to give it back. I promise. And has training wheels and everything.
It is really funny. I just think it's hilarious. You got this big Josh Brolin who looks like he's in his mid-20s. It's this pink bike. It's got training wheels, and it's two to three sizes too small for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we're kind of watching him go, we were introduced to Andy and Steph, the last two members of our Goonie crew, who are driving around with Troy, and they see Bran, and they decide to grab him, and then drive holding him with, again, such a scene from the 80s, flies off the cliff. And the girls are like, you know what? We're ditching Troy. We're gonna go find
Yeah.
Brand to make sure he's okay.
Troy's mean, man. That
Again,
was mean. He could have killed him.
Very 80s.
Yeah.
To have the villain go be uber mean, like over the top bullying.
Yeah,
That's
over the top.
so
where,
1980s.
Where you could almost have killed the guy.
Yeah. We saw it in it. We see the Stranger Things, right? It's that over the top bullying. It's so 1980s. So Mikey and the Goonies, they find out that using the little rock thing and seeing the rocks in the ocean, that they figured out the clue. That's 100 feet, which ends up being this restaurant. And they go to this restaurant, and as they get there, they realize the Fratellis are there. But they don't know it's the Fratellis. They just see these three people. So they kind of sneak into this restaurant, and Chunk's like, no, we can't go there. They're going to kill us. But quickly he sees there's like a food thing, so he's like, I'll go get the food.
Yeah, you know what? You might as well. It's okay. You can die for this.
So he goes and he sees, when he's looking for this food, the car, and he realizes that there's bullet holes in the car. So he's trying to run and warn them to leave, but they grab him and throw him inside. And we see these criminals who are speaking Italian to each other. And it's like, they know nothing. Niente, niente. So they speak Italian. They're like, we're gonna give them. What would you like? They're like, we want some waters. So they bring them waters, and there's the brown water.
Yeah, it's nasty.
And she's like, drink it.
He's like, no,
I'm not drinking this. This is not water. So Mikey has to use the washroom, and he sees Sloth.
Is he the last member of the Goonies?
I guess he's like the honorary member of the Goonies. He's not a Goonie. He's a reject. I guess he kind of.
Wow, why is he a reject?
Well, because he looks like he's like deformed.
Whoa. Okay.
Like his like one eye.
It's 2019. We can't be talking about people that look like that way.
Okay. So he sees him. He gets freaked out. He runs back upstairs, and Brand arrives, and they run him outside, and then Mama Fratelli closes the door and says, kids suck. Which is, again, a brilliant line because she hates her kids.
Yeah. Another thing we haven't talked about yet is the dialogue between the kids are spot on. Like, that's exactly how I remember when I growing up, that's exactly how I would talk to my friends.
But this is why this movie has withstood the test of time. This isn't your standard movie where the kids are like all nicey nice to each other. Like, they're just flat out mean. They quote unquote bully each other. Mm-hmm. But like they stick together. They're exactly how friends are. They're immature kids.
Yeah, like I don't think I've said anything nice to my closest friends.
No, you never say nice things to your friends. You only say mean things to your friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you're insulting someone, it means you care.
Yeah.
It's when you don't insult people, it's like, I don't have the time of day to talk to you. I don't care what you think.
Yeah, you kind of get a little bit offended. Like, oh, you don't care about me, eh?
What are any specific jokes of the way they talk that you really like?
I like mouths to your mama jokes.
Well, the best part is like when they want to get into the restaurant because it's locked. Mike kind of like stands in front of the door and basically tells Chunk that like your mom's like all this, your mom's so attractive, things like that. Gets Chunk really upset, and then as Chunk's about to run into him, he moves out of the way so Chunk hits the door and opens the door. It's brilliant.
Great moves. I love it. This is just wonderful.
So
it's a wonderful movie.
As they go outside, the girls join them, and we get this idea that Brand likes Andy, and I think it's kind of
Andy
mutual.
likes Brand.
Oh yeah,
I don't think Brand likes Andy as much as I think Andy likes Brand more than Brand likes Andy.
I think we got the idea we saw the idea that he was going on a date with her earlier on in the movie, though. I thought the first kind of reference was that Brand likes Andy.
Yeah, he likes her, but I think she likes him more because she's like, I want to go with Brad. Like her friend keeps, like the one friend that's like, let's go, let's get out of here. The girl's like, no, I want to stay with him because I like him.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's definitely there's love blooming in this movie between two of our Goonies.
What is an 80s movie without like two young characters being in love?
Oh, I know. Again, so 80s. Oh, sorry. The naked. It was naked pictures of your mom. I think that's what it was.
Oh yeah.
That got him to open the door. Not your mom's attractive.
Oh man, that was great.
So as they explore the restaurant, they go to the bottom of the restaurant and they're trying to figure out what the next clue is. And Chunk accidentally knocks down the water, and he's like, "I'm so sorry." But they realize the water is going into the fireplace, and they find the next clue is under the fireplace. So they're figuring out what to do, and Chunk finds ice cream. But when he opens the door to get to this ice cream, there's a dead body in there. And now
he's locked in.
He gets locked in with the dead body in the ice cream, and all of the other guys go down into the fireplace.
They pretty much tell Chunk
to go escape through the window and go call the police. So
one
Chunk,
of my most favorite scenes comes up after this.
So Chunk goes out, runs to this car, and like
it's all black.
It's all black. We don't no idea what's going on. He's like, the Fratellis, they're in this restaurant. They're there. My friends are gonna kill us. There's a dead body, and then the door opens.
I thought the light goes on.
Oh, sorry, the light goes on in the car. You're right.
And
you're
then
right.
He just starts singing in Italian, and I could not stop.
Yeah, it's Jake Fratelli. It's so good.
It's one of my most. I think it's might be my top or favorite scene in the movie.
So that is a great scene. So Jake gets. Jake throws Chunk in the back seat with a dead body, and we see screaming. It's priceless. So Chunk gets interrogated. To me, this is my favorite scene. This is
talking about all the bad things he's done.
It basically he's like it tells him everything, just whatever you want to know. They went into the fireplace. They're looking for treasure, and they're like.
Doesn't it go back and forth though? Like it shows them in the cave, and then back to him exposing, and then back in the cave a little bit more, and then back to him.
But it's the idea that he's telling them everything they want to know, and these Fratellis are like, nope. They bring this blender over, and they kind of say, your hand's going in there if you don't talk. Tell us everything. So he literally tells everything. In the 3rd grade, I cheated on my history exam. In the 4th grade, I wore a toupee. In summer camp, they sent me to a fat camp, and I got kicked out. And this goes on, and it's so funny because he's just telling him literally everything bad he's ever done. And after
Didn't he push his sister down the stairs and blamed it on the dog? That was my favorite one.
Oh my god, that's so good. So they're fed up with him, and they're gonna drop his hand into the blender. But like Xavier said, we've been seeing the other aspect of the kids in the cave. And they make some noise that causes bats to come, and they realize, wait a minute, Chunk's actually telling the truth. I can't stress how much I really love this scene and how funny it is. So after that, the guys find Chester Copperpot, who is one of the explorers looking for the treasure before, who has died.
He is deader than dead.
Yeah.
He's a skeleton.
So they decide they're going to continue going on.
Yeah, that's a weird... If that was me, actually, I wouldn't have even gone to the house with the criminals, but...
But you didn't know they were criminals when you... I guess you did when they went back in after.
At the end result. The end result, that's why, you got to take risks. Yeah. You got to spend your life to make money.
They see this Copperpot body, and they realize that they can actually escape. There's a well they can go up it. And Mikey's like, no. We need to find this treasure. We need to go on one last adventure. And this speech is basically saying that, listen, like, if we don't do this, where are we going to be in a week? We're all going to be in different places. And then Andy's like, Chunk might be dead already. And Mikey's like, no. Goonies never say die. It's a great line. Goonies never say die. And he's like, no.
She said dead.
Yeah, he might be dead. Died, same thing. Shut up. If we don't find the treasure, we don't do it. So, this last adventure, he sells them all on it. Now, you're saying you're taking the ride up?
No, I would have even gone into the house.
But you're down there now. Are you going up? You have a
might as well continue if you're going.
Okay, so they're going to continue, And now the Fratellis are on their way to them. Now, what happened to Chunk?
You can say it.
So Chunk gets tied up with Sloth, and he's freaked out because Sloth is deformed.
Yeah, a lot of discrimination.
And so Chunk is really scared, but he's like, I'm kind of hungry. And he has this Baby Ruth candy bar. And he's like, do you want... He sees Sloth looking at it. He's like, do you want it? He's like, yeah, candy. So Chunk throws the bar, hits him in the face, and then falls on the floor. And then Chunk starts to scream. So Sloth is like, I want this chocolate. So he grabs like his chains and rips everything off. So Sloth is this really strong character we're getting to. And he grabs the Baby Ruth and he splits it with Chunk. He breaks it in half and he feeds Chunk the chocolate bar. Again, just a brilliant scene. So Chunk goes to call the cops while this is all going on, and the cops don't believe him because apparently he does this all the time. These Goonies are just troublemakers. It's so good. So they decide to go down the tunnel, and, well, Chunk doesn't decide. Sloth does, and Chunk just kind of follows him.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the Goonies crack the key code, and Dada falls down and almost dies, but his invention saves him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get another great scene. So it's bathroom break time. So the boys go to the men's room, and the girls go to the girls' room.
Corner, yeah.
So the girls are talking, and Andy's like, "I'm going to kiss Bran." So she's like, calls Bran over, but Bran's in the middle of doing something. So Bran sends his brother Mikey to go see what Andy wants.
Yeah.
And Andy's in the dark and has her eyes closed and just sees Bran, or who she thinks is Bran, grabs him. It's Mikey, and they just kind of kiss for like 5 seconds. And then Mikey just like just losing it, like, oh, that was heaven. And then Steph's like, okay, lover boy, go away. And then Steph's like to Andy, how was that? And Andy's like, I didn't know Bran had braces. The fact that she doesn't know, again, so 80s, but so funny. What do you think of that scene?
I liked it. It's, I can see where a lot of other movies were. Was that the first time that's been done, like that trope? Or
For kids, definitely.
For a kids movie?
I'm sure.
Because I've seen kid movies. I think I forget what movie it is. I can't put my finger on it, but I've seen other movies do it after that, so I can see where it's been influenced. So that's another. Well, I'm gonna say it at the end of the Goonies, so I'll talk about it at the end.
Okay. Then we get the piano scene. So they get to this piano and they have to play the proper notes. And Andy's the one that has to save the day and play the piano. Mm-hmm. And at the last second, she figures out the right code, and they escape and they slide down to the pirate ship. And when they get to the pirate ship, they find the gold. They see One-Eyed Willie.
He's dead.
Long dead. The Fratellis show up. They make Andy walk the plank with her like hands tied behind her back. Bran goes to save her. Again, classic 1980s. Sloth and Chunk arrive to save the day. There's a huge sword fight where Sloth takes out his entire family, throws his mom into the water, and all of the Goonies kind of, swim to shore. Mm-hmm. The Fratellis go back onto the boat, and they're grabbing the treasure, but there's one more booby trap, and they set it off, and the entire cave starts to cave in, and the ship is going to eventually kind of sail out. Mm-hmm. But the Goonies, they get out because of Sloth. They're reunited with their parents.
They didn't take the gold?
They weren't able to. The Fratellis made them empty all their pockets. Mm-hmm. But they're in the marble bag. They had some gold, so they were able to save the entire town. But then the pirate ship shows up, so they're more than saved.
Yeah. Okay.
So we rushed a little through that. But what are some of your...
So the Fratellis are dead?
No. The Sloth saves them,
yeah.
And then they go to jail, and Chunk's family adopts Sloth. Okay. And then the "I love you" scene between the two of them. I love you, Sloth. I love you, Chunk. So good. Any questions? Anything you want to talk about with the movie?
Yeah, so what I like to say, I really like the movie for a lot of its influence on a lot of other movies, right? You find this in a lot of movies that come from the 80s. They influence for, like, we see It, like, the way the children talk to each other in It is very similar to how they talk in, oh my goodness, Goonies. We just talked about this movie, and, like, say Stranger Things, like a bunch of friends that are rejects working together for a common goal, right? So I really like that aspect of seeing. That's why I love seeing the, like, older movies and see what they influenced, like Saving Private Ryan.
But even like movies like Stand By Me, which is more of a drama, not a comedy. There's a lot of elements to that in it as well, which is around the same time, right? The kids talking to themselves, be more real. I think movies today fail at that by trying to be so. Our standards of what PG is has changed so much. We want to make every movie like dumbed down so kids can see it. They become our target audience. We've lost how people actually relate in the real world, and that's sometimes what makes a movie classic. It's that rewatchability decades later. Yeah. Like the Goonies is 34 years old this year. It reads like it came out the year I was born. Same age as you, right? Same age as me. And yet I know I'm old. But it still holds its truth. I enjoyed watching it this weekend as much as I enjoyed watching it the first time I watched it. You know, and that's truly the mark of a classic movie. I can't tell you enough.
That's it's too many times when you see, like, how many movies do have kids interacting with one another?
A ton of them, but
I can't name them right now.
But a lot of times they jump out of, you don't care about them. You know,
like there's a lot of S words dropped too, and you're like, ooh, that's bad. But like, as a kid, I don't know. Would you let your kids see this?
Of course I would.
Yes,
but I don't care. Words only have the power that you gave them, right? Like you go back to 1939. The Motion Picture Association of America wanted to ban Gone with the Wind from using the most classic line of all time. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn, because damn was seen as a bad word.
Yeah.
When we grew up in the 80s on primetime TV, you couldn't throw ass out there. But I can say it now and it won't even be beeped out, even if it was, as long as it's not rated G.
Well, we got to beep it out for the children. No, I'm just joking.
No kid has the 2-hour attention span to listen to these podcasts.
That's
but the point is, like, words only have the power you give them. So what? They say the S word, whoop-de-doo-da-day. Like, it's not the end of the world.
I feel like music that they listen to. Plus, they probably hear a lot worse at their school.
Oh my god, I know. How did you swear when you were growing up?
No, but like, man, there are some
not
kids
in your group of friends.
Oh yeah, we swore.
That's what I'm saying. But we did.
I've never. It wasn't something that was super in my vocabulary as a kid. Like, for me, when I was a kid, I only swore for like an emphasis on something.
Yeah, but that's why. Yeah, that's what.
There are those other kids that just say the F word every other sentence. And
I know.
Well,
like, that's too. But
that's just way too excessive.
But the point is, like, normal group of kids probably swear all the time. So if you're making a movie that has meaning, that people can relate to, you have to be able to relate to characters. And whether it's Mikey Mouth, Chunk, Data, Bran, Andy, or Staff, there's a character in the Goonies that you can relate to because they each offer a different kind of weirdness.
Yeah.
A different
or you can even do a combination of it too.
Of course you can. I feel like I got a little bit of Chunk and a little bit of Mikey in me.
I feel like I got a little bit of Chunk and a little bit of Data. Maybe Mouth, but no. Maybe not so much Mouth. I'm not a crap talker.
No, I know. But even in the end, we see love brewing between him and Steph, right? That we didn't really talk about the entire time. Like, she kind of she had the ability to shut him up.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of truth to be said. I'm trying to think of a kids movie with a group of kids where they just we haven't talked about it. We don't remember them because of the way they talk. But
yeah, well, that's one of the reasons we don't remember them, because it's not really can't remember it, right? It's not memorable.
So, have you heard the unfortunate rumor that they're planning on making a Goonies 2?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's gonna be terrible. You can't. These kind of movies, like you said earlier before, you can't make these kind of movies because it was a different type of culture that they were made and that made them successful. I don't know if you can make a Goonies 2 as successful, because someone's gonna get offended by something.
Not even that. It's some movies just catch lightning in a bottle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can make a movie like The Goonies, but you can't take The Goonies.
You can't recreate the magic.
Because one of two things are going to happen. Number one, you have to recast the characters, and I'm sorry, but those characters have become iconic.
Yeah.
They are iconic. You ask another kid that's somewhere between the ages of 10 and 15 to play a character that's beloved. It's not going to work.
It's not going to. Yeah, it's way too much in the fans' heart, and we've already seen. Like, look at Star Wars: The Last Jedi, right? You try to go way outside of the realm, people are going to be upset. I'm not defending Star Wars. I don't really like The Last Jedi, but I'm just saying people are going to be super upset about it, right?
Yeah.
Same with Independence Day Resurgence. That wasn't good.
That movie, again, that's a movie that wasn't designed to have a sequel, right? At least Star Wars is designed to have sequels.
Yeah.
But like movies like Independence Day, aliens attack, humans won, movie over.
Yeah, you don't need to add anything.
The Goonies, it was an adventure. They had it. They saved the town. That's it. They don't need another adventure. Like, the town was saved. To create another problem just to make a movie, it doesn't make any sense to me.
I have a problem. Do you feel like Hollywood's running out of ideas?
They've always Hollywood. This is what I think people don't understand about Hollywood. Hollywood has always remade things.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying remade, but
like in the silent, almost after the Jazz Singer came out in 1927, when the birth of the talkie, they pretty much remade every silent movie into a talkie, right?
Yeah,
like, that's what they did. And then from there, they use books, they've used historic events. I think they're out of a lot of ideas, yes, but I think they're afraid more than out of new ideas. I think there are new ideas out there. I think
just more want to stick with what's new. So
they want to make money.
They're more, wouldn't say out of ideas, more super trendy. I feel like it follows a trend.
Trendy and why they want name recognition. They want they're not willing to take risks anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
It's not, you feel
I look at like, this is not really a movie, but like Harry Potter. How many companies rejected Harry Potter before J.K. Rowling was able to sell it? Like, think about that.
Yeah.
You have a $1 billion industry in Harry Potter, or a $1 billion name.
Yeah, and that, like, no offense to StarArs fans, but Harry Potter has a huge, like, that following is massive.
Of course,
and
it
rivals
is. People love
Star Wars
magic. The characters are semi good, but like that whole aspect is very important.
Plus, they're still making more products for it. And give it, probably, people are saying that they might start doing, like, maybe a Force Awakens with the new book, The Cursed Child. Right?
Yeah, they bring them back, right? Age them naturally, make a couple Fantastic Beasts, and then go back and make more Harry Potter,
and then do The Cursed Child, right?
Yeah, so
there's lots of money to be made, and like, people eat it up.
Of course they do. So we'll see. I mean, I think Hollywood's biggest problem is they're not willing to take risks anymore. They want sure things, and
so they just go and make remakes.
Yeah,
and blah,
instead
blah,
of.
blah.
But I mean, like, you take a look. Think of over the last, we'll say, decade and a half, when Hollywood has kind of gone out of the norm. We get an Inception.
Yeah.
You know, we get.
Well, I feel like that's more Christopher Nolan, though. He's the only one that. It's either.
But hold on.
It's either branded name.
But hold on. You know the story of Inception, right? You know why Christopher Nolan got to make Inception? He said he wouldn't make The Dark Knight Rises if he wasn't allowed to make Inception first.
Oh.
He basically had to threaten them to make this movie, because it was the people. I think it was Warner Brothers that made Inception, or whatever studio said no one's gonna buy this movie. And look at it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? And then now, because of those successes, he can do whatever he wanted. But like, he made The Dark Knight. He's like, well, you know, I'm not gonna make a Dark Knight Rises if you don't let me make Inception first. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
All right, we're off our thing.
Sorry about that, folks.
Let's give the Goonies a rating here.
Yeah, we didn't even give the rating. Yeah, I'm gonna give, just talking about it, I was gonna give it an 8.5, but I'm gonna up it to 9.5 for talk.
I'm sorry, but when you get a classic movie like this, It's a hard 10. It's a hard 10. Not even a soft 10.
This guy just gives 10s out like it's going out of style.
If you check the tape on the podcast, this is the first movie that we've reviewed that I've given a 10 out of 10.
Were all 10. Top 6 of your top 10s were 10 out of 10.
Yes, the top 10 movies of the year. Yes, of the 150-ish movies I saw this year, 6 of them got 10s out of 10.
Those were all separate, or none of those were repeat times for the 150?
I don't think I had many. I saw 160 movies this year, so I just went lower.
Last year.
Last year, sorry. So I figured I doubled up on 13. Even if it's 140 movies, to give 6... Even if it was 100 movies, to give 6 10 out of 10, that's pretty good.
I just think you just love giving perfect movies, eh? You just say perfect movie, perfect movie.
No, I did not say...
You get a perfect movie.
Hold on.
You get a perfect
movie.
On. You get a perfect...
It wasn't the perfect film. It was just... It was 10 out of 10. It's good. Like we didn't. What are some of the criticisms you have for this movie? You didn't come up with any.
Some of the criticisms.
I don't really have any. I liked it. It's we talk about realisticness of it, but I've always talked about the reality of the unrealistic world that the movie this created. It made sense. It's a fun action adventure movie. I don't have a criticism for this movie.
Fair enough.
What is yours?
Mine, I had a criticism and then I forgot it because I didn't want to say it. I was gonna say it during the time, but I didn't want to. You were on a roll, so I didn't want to.
All I'm saying is, if you can't think of a criticism of a movie, I don't know how you don't give it a 10 out of 10.
Fair enough.
Anyways, so that's it for us for the week. Hopefully you enjoy listening to our takes on Upside Glass and the Goonies. Next week, we don't really know what we're going to be doing because we don't know what's coming at the theaters. We're
Serenity
and the kid who would be king are the two that we're looking at. We don't know what we're going to get, and we're going to give. It's the last week of the month. We're going to give another shot at trivia, but this time I'm going to be doing the trivia because clearly Xavier can't stump me with good questions, so I'm going to be telling him that. Or showing him that he doesn't know as much about movies as he thinks he does.
I'm pretty sure I don't. Well, that's funny. I don't think I don't know anything about movies, so to find out that I know even less than that, well, that's...
So we'll embarrass you in front of our thousands of people that will be watching this next week.
Yeah, we thank you for letting us get to 50,000 followers. This is taking a new approach, positive thinking. You got to keep saying it, and then it will happen. So thank you to 50,000 subscribers. We're going to have a 50,000 thank you video coming up very shortly.
Hey, if we ever do get to 50,000, you have to give that video.
Yeah, we'll do it.
All
I
right.
promise you guys that.
Guys, again, be sure to like us and subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram, and iTunes, and all of the lovely stuff like that. I love personally listening to podcasts on the way to work, and this podcast, I think, would be a great investment for your time.
Yes, we all want your time with us.
Anyways, you guys have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
See you guys next week. Bye-bye.